be fool, wanna be cool, wanna be love. 너와의 same love. Baby, I want it.
내가 올리는 모든 사진마다 좋아요 남발하는 처음 보는 저 남자. 누구야? 아 맞다 나 이제 남자친구 아니지 자연스레 네 번호 눌렀잖아 전화나 카톡 하자니 꽂히는 것 같고 뭐라도 안 하면 나 신경도 안 쓸 것 같아 싫어요 버튼은 없는데 싫어져 30몇 명씩 하나가 되는 게 여기도 좋다고 저기도 좋다고 한 번만 놀자고 왜 그리 겁나고 어수비 이제 내 것도 아닌데 왜 뺏기는 것 같은지 넌 아웃이 참 잘 사네 눈꼴 시려우니까 노는 것 좀 살살해 목까지 올라온 저 줄을 삼키고 오늘도 좋아요 누르지
넌 남이 되고 오히려 더 좋아 보여 pretty woman yeah 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 얄밉게도 여전히 더 좋아 보여 pretty woman oh pretty woman wanna be cool wanna be love 너와의 same love I know it's over yeah don't wanna be fool wanna be cool wanna be love 너와의 same love baby I want it
친구 놈의 너는 좋아요로 보이는 네 얼굴은 훨씬 좋아 보여 새 남친과 찍은 사진 속 택 덕분에 추억 속으로 난 백스페이스 그 세상은 어느새 다들 멈춰 있는데 난 왜 여전히 그 시간에 걸쳐 있는데 넌 내 생각을 할까 고민하며 좋아요를 누를까 말까 수십 번을 반복해 너의 마음은 마치 단두대 어처럼 나를 싹둑 가차 없이 잘라냈지만 난 도깨비 감투 몰래 다가가 너의 일상생활은 맨날 보내 그때마다 머릿속은 108번 내 oh shit 내 생각은 할까 고민하며 좋아요를 누르지 말자
넌 남이 되고 오히려 더 좋아 보여 pretty woman yeah 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 얄밉게도 여전히 더 좋아 보여 pretty woman oh pretty woman wanna be cool wanna be love 너와의 same love I know it's over yeah don't wanna be fool wanna be cool wanna be love 너와의 same love baby I want it 너 요즘에 어떻게 지내고 있나 궁금해 보니 좋아요가 됐나 나 없이 잘 사는 네가 왜 생각났지 찾아온 건 한심한 나도 누르고 갈게 네 위에 난 요즘 너 없이 이렇게 지내 난 남이 되고 오히려 더 좋아 보여 pretty woman yeah 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 얄밉게도 여전히 더 좋아 보여 pretty woman oh pretty woman wanna be cool wanna be love 너와의 same love I know it's over don't wanna be fool wanna be cool wanna be love 너와의 same love baby I want it
Hello, everyone. This is exciting. How are you feeling today, Yami?
I feel relieved that our technology is finally working.
Yeah, if you only knew the nightmare we've been having trying to figure everything out, but I mean, I think we've got there. So, without further ado, welcome everyone to the new podcast, Army Time. Yay! Insert cheering noises here. So before I just introduce us to you all, I just wanted to make a few quick pointers about the podcast. So if you've been following us up until now on this channel, you'll know that I was previously doing a podcast on Wednesdays called Bangtan Collective Podcast. That's still running, so make sure you keep supporting that. But for the time being, we are now on a Monday, and we'll be following on from some of the segments that we were doing before. So I can go more into detail when those parts prop up in the episode. But yeah, that's about it really for just the basic boring stuff. So now I will introduce you to our newest host, the wonderful Yami.
Hi.
How great is her hair, guys, by the way? Isn't it fabulous?
I'm living my pink hair dream.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I thought what we would do just to start off, I mean, most of you probably know me, but we might have new viewers this week. And this is going to be episode 1, so completely new start. So what we're going to do for the beginning is just have a little chat about who we are and how we got into BTS and just basic things about us. So first of all, I will just ask you some questions. Quick fire round.
Okay, all right. Let's see if I can do this.
So, name.
My name is Yami.
And my name is Billy, if you don't know me. Okay. And whereabouts are you located in the world?
I live in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., in the great states of America.
And how long have you been there for now?
Here in DC, I've probably been here like 10 years. I'm originally from Russia. I was born in Moscow. I've lived in Chicago. I've lived all over the US. I lived in Germany when I was younger, but now I live here, hopefully forever.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And you?
And me, I am from near London in the UK.
Oh,
Yeah.
fancy.
I know, it's going to be quite fun because we'll have our different accents competing against one another for what English phrase is right.
I think yours always sounds more intellectual. Even when you read things that I've written and you read them out loud, I'm like, man, that sounds so much smarter now.
I think yours sounds more friendly, so yeah.
Friendly until I say something mean, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and then you've got some venom behind it, but that's probably comes from the Russian.
Probably. Or the German.
Or the German, yeah, exactly. Okay, so what is your current occupation?
I am a finance manager. And I work in home building, so I'm an essential service, so I'm still working. And then by night, I moonlight as a writer.
A writer? Oh, that's like a double life, the way you introduced that there. You're like a superhero. By day, I manage finance, and by night, I'm a writer.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, right? And sleeping was kind of thrown out the window a while ago. So.
Yeah, who needs it anyway?
Yeah, I know you're the same way. You're always up to like 4 a.m. whenever I message you.
Yeah, it's quite bad. I'm always like at 4 a.m, especially if there's like a message that pops up that's like, oh, here's a image of Taeyoung. I'm like, oh, what now? I'll just check my phone.
Like so the other night with Hobie. Yeah,
oh,
sorry, keep
goodness,
going.
yeah, with his TikTok. Yeah, tangent. Anyway, so I'm a student right now in London. I study contemporary literature and culture. I'm doing a master's degree, so that is what I do. But
Fancy.
I mean, I'm also a musician, and yeah.
We were joking before that the way we've set this up, it looks like with my piano and your and your microphone. So we're starting a band. It's going to be called ARMYtime. And it's just literally going to be songs about BTS. And we're going to follow BTS across the country. And all our music is directly at them. No one else. Yeah.
And then basically just every concert venue will just be outside serenading them with terrible songs about how much we love them.
Who wants to join?
Yeah. Anyone else want to like come with like a few guitars on the back of their walls and...
Tambourine.
Yeah. Little shaker.
Yeah. Are they called shakers or maracas?
It depends. The one I was thinking of was like, you know, those little egg shakers?
Oh, yeah. The ones I used to use in, like, I don't know, elementary school. Like in
yeah.
You know, in music
triangle.
class. Yeah. God, we'd be the best band ever.
I know, right? We really would. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was saying now. I think we were leading on to talk about our biases.
We're introducing... Oh, our biases. Okay.
Our biases.
Well, my bias is the lovely Jimin. Can you see him? There he is.
Yeah.
Love him to death.
Jim.
Yeah, he's always been my bias from the beginning. I connect with him. I relate to him a lot.
Why
And
is he your bias, would you say?
why? Because I love his dancing. I love his grace. I love how elegant he is. He's a perfectionist. I'm the same way. I know you're a perfectionist too, Billy, considering how many times we've tried to film this.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah. I've just, the fact that he's warm, that he cares about other people, and that just his manner with other people, everything he is, I relate to it so deeply. And even if I didn't want him as my bias, like, I immediately gravitate towards him. I can't escape it. So
They
I
always
just love
say
him.
that, like, your bias chooses you and you have no choice in the matter. That's just who you're stuck with, so deal with it.
Oh, I like that.
So
Yeah.
do I.
What about you, Billy? I have no idea who your bias is. Please
I
tell me
know.
more.
I never talk about him ever. So my bias is Taeyang. I love him. I have explained why in previous episodes, in previous episodes, but I'll just go into it a bit more now. It's similar reasons, really. He's just the one that I relate to the most, the one that I see myself in, and I love his optimistic, childlike enthusiasm for the world and his empathy and how kind he is, and his voice is just absolutely beautiful. I adore it. Yeah, I just think he's the perfect man.
There's 7 perfect men.
That is very true. It's hard to even try to compare them.
Yeah. Billy, who are your bias wreckers?
Well, I think that I'm get bias wrecked by all of them, to be honest. The one who bias wrecks me the most is June. And again, I think it's just because I see myself in him so much, and I've talked before about it, about the fact that Tae and June are like similar in a lot of ways and have the same personality type, and I also have that personality type. So I think that's probably why I just tend to gravitate towards them. But I get bias wrecked by every member.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about
you? Same. The other 6 are my bias wreckers, and probably Sejin. And let's be honest, Bang PD Nim as well.
I fucking love manager Sejin. Like, honestly, he is goals.
I want his job, but I also just want to be like his assistant. Like, I just want to see him in action, taking care of all of them, and seeing all of them rely on him, and then just being like, Sejin, how can I help you help them?
That would be the dream, because I don't want to take over his job because he's perfect. But I would like to help him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm just in love with Bang PD Nim's mind. Every time he says anything, I'm just like, I love you.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a very, very clever and kind man, and I'm very grateful that he was the one who nurtured the group and led them down certain paths or helped to prompt them in certain ways. And I think that I always talk about this, but it seems like it must be from a bigger purpose or something, because honestly, like, how do you find like the perfect manager, the perfect like CEO, the perfect 7 members all coming together at the right time? And do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like something that is impossible.
I mean, I do, but I think it's always emotional, right? Like, you have a gut instinct and it's tied to your emotions. When you meet certain people, you're just like, I feel something with you, and I want you to stick around. I don't obviously think anybody's ever perfect to begin with, and it takes,
of course.
But I think it was I don't know, they all just sense something in each other, some kind of honesty, and probably a lot of weariness with the way things were and desire to do everything better. And I think over time, with the context of everything, all the struggles that they went through, they became diamonds.
And I mean, nobody is ever great to begin with, but it makes me think of like what Yoongi said in Carpool. You know how he said that they used to argue a lot, but now they just don't really argue anymore. And I feel like that might be the same way with everything they do these days, because they've just been together for so long. It's impossible not to know how each of them work and how to like go about interacting with each member and to avoid conflict. And so I just feel like with time they've just become such a strong, tightly knit bond of people, and not just like them themselves, but their team and their staff. And yeah.
Yeah, isn't that one of the best things to watch?
So great.
That's why we love
Yeah.
it. Hold on, we got distracted. I
really
think we
did.
were introducing ourselves.
Okay, so next question. How did you find BTS, and what was your journey of becoming an ARMY?
I found BTS through a video, like a news video on Facebook from Al Jazeera, of all things. Al Jazeera was like, hey, do you know BTS? And it was like...
You know BTS?
Yeah, it was like clips from DNA, and it was just like random facts about them. And I was not interested in K-pop. I had tried to get into it years before, but never felt like there was enough of information available to me to develop an interest, so I gave up. And then this video, this frickin' Al Jazeera news video just wouldn't go away. It kept popping up on my timeline. It was like, are you sure? Do you really want to know more about BTS? And I kept watching the DNA music video, and it was just hypnotic. Like, I couldn't look away. And then I just Googled them, YouTubed them, and I couldn't stop. I literally couldn't stop. And I didn't want to. I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine as is. What is this? What is this? I just wanted to know their names.
Literally all of us.
Yeah, so it's been, let's see, I fell down the rabbit hole in October 2017, and then I think I became ARMY in January 2018. So it's been like a little over 2 years, almost 2.5 years, I guess.
What made you become ARMY? What made you relate to them on such a deep level that you became ARMY?
Honestly,
it doesn't have to be specifics, just...
No,
yeah.
It's the fact that I value honesty very highly. That is one of my biggest values in life. And I had found that over time, no music could capture my attention, my emotion, nothing. I just wasn't interested in most music, especially mainstream music, because it didn't sound honest. It didn't sound real. It all sounded manufactured in some way, and even if that's not the case, that was the perception I had. I was like, I can't get into any of this. I feel like I'm being sold a dream, a fantasy, and I don't care. I can do that myself. I can, write my own fantasy. And then BTS came along, and there was so much content to consume, so many reality shows, so many behind the scenes clips, and then the music videos, the lyrics of what they were singing, even down to their appearances and like the friendships and whatever else they were portraying in their videos. It was so, I don't know, it was just honest in a way that I can't describe, because, right, it's just as flashy.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling, because visually it's just as flashy as other things that you'll see, in music videos. The songs are dynamic, and you're like, okay, well, it's just like everything else. But then there's just something in it that you can't ignore, that human connection. I don't know how they do it, but they reach out, they seize your heart, and then before you know it, you're sucked in and you can't live without them. Yeah.
And then you see like all of the different sides. Like, I feel like once you get sucked in, you see all the different sides to them, and like how creative they are and how hardworking they are, and just how on another level in every aspect they seem to be to everyone.
And it's inspiring. Yeah. You see that and you go, look at them working so hard, trying their best. I want to be like that too.
And I can be.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of common for ARMYs to be like, hey, I'm struggling with something, but if BTS were in my shoes, they would persevere, so I have to as well. And I don't even know why we all like seize on that, but we all end up having that same thought process.
I think it's because, and I actually kind of discovered this recently, like not discovered, but had this thought that I think they're so relatable, and especially you usually get drawn to the one who you find the most relatable, and that becomes your bias a lot of the time. But when you find someone who you really relate to and who you see yourself in, but they're like the best version of you, and you can see yourself through a whole new light because you think, you know, I'm like that, but why am I so hard on myself when I look at them and it's so endearing? And then you can think to yourself like, well, I could be that way too, and I can think that way about myself.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point when you say you see the ideal version of what you want to be, and you're like, if they can do it and I look at them and I like it that much, that means that that's all the validation I need to do it myself for myself.
Yeah, and I mean, it says it in Magic Shop, doesn't it? Like, all of your answers that you're looking for are inside your heart. Like, they're there already. You just have to look for them and see them, you know?
Yeah. Billy, how did you get into BTS?
So, I first saw them, I first saw DNA as well, but my friend always my friend always takes the mick out of me now because she's the one who liked BTS before me, and I used to make fun of her because of it because I didn't know anything about them, and I'd just seen glimpses of a video, and I was very close-minded and was like, oh, they're just a boy band who's stupid and has like flashy visuals and everyone fancies them and blah blah blah, and I don't care. And so I was like that for like a year and didn't look into it anymore. And then one day I was just on YouTube and I just came across Fake Love, and I just clicked on it for some reason, and I was just completely like entrapped by this video and the music and the visuals and the metaphors, and it was so beautiful and I couldn't believe it. And then I had the exact same, I wonder what their names are. I just want to learn a bit about them. And then it was like 10 hours later and I was chest deep in a YouTube hole, and yeah. And I always like, I used to be ashamed of myself and be sad that I hadn't done it sooner. And if I'd have just not been so like judgmental, then maybe I would have looked into them. But then I think about it, and it is true what they say about how like BTS finds you when you need them the most. And it was exactly like that for me. So even though it's sad in a sense, I wouldn't change it. Yeah.
No, and I think we all say like BTS finds you when you need them, but if you actually break that down, what that means is you have to be ready and willing to open your heart and your mind to what it is that they're trying to say. And if you're not in that place, then you can close your mind and, you know, avoid their music and continue to have that ridiculous mindset of that they're not the world-class performers that they are. So it is what it is. You found them now. Exactly.
And I literally have been taken over. I'm taking over you. That's basically what they did to my life. But it's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm happy about it.
Honestly, same.
Okay, so I think that will do for our intros for now. I think hopefully you guys have got a better understanding of us and why we're ARMY and who we are, and the basics.
If you keep watching, considering everything we have planned here, you'll see exactly why we are ARMY. Oh, question. So that friend of yours that tried to get you into BTS and you like made fun of her, are you a bigger ARMY than her now?
Yes. And I think she would agree.
Yeah. Oh, before we move on, we should probably talk about the agenda for what we will do today. So, here is our plan. We will have 4 segments today, which will be ARMY Recap, ARMY Review, ARMY Fun Time, and ARMY Heart BTS. And since this is the first episode, we won't give you any previews on what we're going to talk about, because it's just going to be a fun surprise. Plus, I'm allergic to spoilers.
See if you can guess what each one of them are going to be. Like, write down in the comments what you think they are, and we'll see if you get them right.
Perfect. Okay, alrighty, moving on. So the first segment is ARMY Recap.
Yay!
All right, so the first segment that we're going to do is Army Recap. And this is actually a segment where we will be able to share some news about what's going on in the BTS Army world and our opinions. Granted, I just wanted to say we're just armies. We're not newscasters. We can only give you the information that we know. And if anybody has any more information or more accurate information, just please share it with us and we'll spread it around.
Yeah, definitely. We're just going to kind of go off of, we have like a little sheet that when we come across things that we find interesting throughout the week, we can write down the comments and then talk about them. But we don't see everything. We don't, know everything that goes on. So if you have some extra information, then please let us know about it. Yeah.
Cool.
But,
I think your microphone is like vibrating on the table.
Oh. Ooh, I don't know why. It might just be because I was leaning on it. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, shall I start us off?
Yeah, you go for it.
All right, so the first thing we wanted to talk about is that Big Hit has announced the postponement of the North American segment of their tour due to coronavirus concerns. The tour was supposed to begin in Seoul on April 11th, and they had canceled the Seoul concerts a month ago. But in the last couple weeks, they postponed the rest of the concerts in North America. However, Big Hit has promised fans that they would keep their tickets and their seats, but the dates would just be rescheduled to an unspecified time in the future. And then in terms of Europe, I believe that ticket sales for you guys in Europe haven't happened yet. And right now, I think you mentioned that pre-sale was scheduled for the end of April.
Yeah, I think they kind of pushed it back like a month. I'm assuming it will probably be pushed back again because, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all kind of knew that this was coming.
Yeah.
Obviously, they weren't going to announce anything until they had worked out the legality of everything, right? You can't just cancel a contract willy-nilly.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think most people know this by now, but obviously you have to just wait until basically the last minute before the venue says to you, you can't hold this concert here, because if you cancel it before that, then you're eligible to pay. So, yeah, that's probably why they left it as long as they did.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as I know, like, I don't know, just from my personal knowledge, I've always thought that reserving venues in Europe for concerts is very difficult, much more difficult than the US. So I think it worked out in their favor that they postponed the concerts before tickets had even gone on sale. I don't know, something tells me that it would have been even more difficult if they had already sold tickets for all of the European concerts.
Yeah, I mean, how is the mood over in the States with everything, with the decision? How are you guys feeling about that part of it?
I mean, from what I've seen online, armies seem to generally be fine, right? It's like you kind of know this. We all knew that this was coming month, 2 months ago. And at this point, I think we've also all had enough time to process it emotionally. And I think mostly everyone's just happy that they get to keep the tickets that they had. Because that's always the hardest part, right? Getting a ticket anywhere, let alone in the section and the place that you want to be in. So at least we don't, in America, we don't have to, and Canada, we don't have to go through that again.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was the best way of doing it, to be honest, because could you imagine how awful it would have been if you'd have got your tickets and like gotten a really good seat and then told, oh, it doesn't count anymore, you're gonna have to do it again, and then you get like a bad seat. I mean, there's no bad seat at a BTS concert, but you know what I mean.
That's true, but when you've emotionally prepared yourself for one experience and then you get another one and you had the capability for the first one, like I totally understand. And some of my friends on Twitter have been like, I get to hold on to my soundcheck tickets. And I'm like, yeah, good for you.
Yeah, nice. But it did seem this time around that like the majority of the seats went to armies. So it seemed like they did it really well this time around.
Yeah. So this is... So I've been to 5 BTS concerts before this, and I think this is my 3rd or 4th time going through ticketing. And like, there was a period of stress where it's like when you're trying to buy tickets and you're used to the process being a certain way and you've prepared and you're ready to do it, and at the last minute, Big Hit and Ticketmaster were like, actually, we're changing the process. We're gonna do this fun thing instead. And I know there were hiccups, and there was like misinformation or contradicting information being shared online by like representatives from Ticketmaster and all of that. Whatever, like, we're past that now, and I think if this is the way they're gonna do it going forward, hopefully it'll just mean that less tickets go to scalpers and more tickets go to armies, and we'll all be better prepared to handle it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, from what I saw, that like most people who wanted tickets managed to get tickets, which is not the case normally. So that seemed good. I mean, in terms of Europe,
yeah, I was going to ask, how are you guys doing it over there? Is it the same or different?
I think us Europeans tend to just, like, you know how you have those memes of like everyone at the front and then there's just someone's hand at the back like, hey, what about me? What about me? I feel like that's how European armies feel. But I mean, I'm glad they postponed the ticket sales. I think that was for the best. It's just, it's really difficult not knowing anything. So we don't know if it's happening, but then we also don't know if we're going to get tickets for it, and we don't know when the tickets are going to be sold. And so it's just kind of like everything's just very unknown. I mean, yeah.
I mean, honestly, this is just my opinion, but I have a feeling that they're going to reschedule this to 2021, like next year.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the whole tour was like moved right to like the beginning of next year. So we'll just have to see. I mean, the main thing is that everybody's safe and healthy. So yeah, I know that they'll be making the decisions based on what's best for everybody involved. So honestly, whatever they choose to do, then I'm okay with that. And
same.
Yeah, we'll just be supporting from a distance, I guess. Like, it must be so difficult for them, even more so than for us. So I'm trying not to get too down about anything, because thinking about them being down about it is way worse.
I know. And we on Twitter especially can't help making each other sad, especially when they were doing all those comeback shows and we were like, you can tell they need an audience, and they were like, we need an audience, and we're like, we know.
It's like, well, I want to do a concert cycle. And then Jin posts it on Weverse, and then Yoongi posts it, and we're like, yeah, we want to come too. It's hard, you know.
I know, just this vicious cycle of sadness and tears, and us being like, we miss you.
Yeah, no, we miss you. No, we miss you.
We're disgusting.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I mean, I think that there's an event planned though for the coming week, because the Seoul date is supposed to be was it the 11th? I think.
Yes, I think that's what we looked up before. Yeah, it's supposed to be on the 11th.
Yeah, so I think that there's some things that are going to happen on social media, like Weverse and Twitter, of people changing their profile pictures to army bombs and the sea of army bombs and things like that.
I haven't seen that one. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people were saying about how maybe to like record videos of themselves with their army bomb dancing, so it was like a concert from home almost. I mean, I wonder if they'll have anything planned. Wouldn't it be great if they had like a little special live stream planned? Like, kind of like how HomeFest was, but specifically for armies. That would be cool.
That would be awesome. If they were going to do that, though, I feel like they need to announce it, right? Because you kind of need to give people a couple weeks heads up. Unless they just do it V-Live style, and then it's like, hey, whoever's around, come watch us dance.
That's true, yeah. I don't know, we'll see anyway. I'm sure that they've got plans. They've been saying on their V-Lives, wasn't it Namjoon or Jimin, one of the two, who said, we're BTS, of course we have a plan, you know? So, and that they're working hard on something, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to the next point. Take it away.
Yeah. So the next point that we have is that BTS appeared on James Corden's HomeFest on Monday the 30th. So So I think that was last week, a week ago today. And
last week.
Yeah. But so they did Boy With Love, and they did it in their dance studio, which was really cool. It was nice to see them. I mean, I think it was pre-recorded, but still great. I think it's such an honor for them to have even been asked to be on that lineup. So that was amazing. And the second point for this is that the ARMY has raised almost over now 41K for the CDC Foundation, which they were find out the exact total. But they've raised a lot for the charity that was being promoted on the HomeFest. So as always, ARMY showing themselves to be the best fandom ever, and I love you. You're amazing.
Yes. And then I just wanted to say, all the comments on people's donations for the CDC Foundation were so touching and heartwarming, and they were lyrics from BTS music, and I kept saying, "We are forever bulletproof," and it was just making me so emotional, and I was like, can we not? All right, so as of right now, we have raised $41,156.
Wow,
so
amazing.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I love us.
I love us too. Okay, moving on to the next point.
All right, something happy. BTS have announced that they will be releasing a new song titled Stay Gold, which will be the theme song for an upcoming Japanese drama. They have described the song as bright and having expressive lyrics, and also that it's in Japanese. This song will also be included as part of BTS's new Japanese album, which is set to drop this summer. So that is very exciting.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, and that J-drama, so the name of it is literally translated into English as Spiral Labyrinth or Helical Labyrinth, DNA Science Investigations. So, and it's supposed to be like a detective mystery show which uses DNA and science to solve crimes. And it's also based on the manga of the same name. Yes. I know, I'm lame and I also have that same thought. But yeah, so because the BTS's song is supposed to be the theme song, hopefully we'll hear it in the first episode, which is set to premiere April 24th.
Oh, so is it literally like the song that plays during the
opening?
The opening?
I don't know, because everywhere I was reading about it said theme song instead of opening. Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah, guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and then I have a fun fact. Did you know that BTS's song "Don't Leave Me" is a theme song for another J-drama?
No.
No, well, it is. So this is the second time that they will have their song chosen as the theme song.
Oh, I literally had no idea. I love that song as well, but I didn't know it was a theme song. That's cool.
Yeah. I enjoyed finding that out, and I was like, of course it was selected. I'm
just looking forward to Kim Sok-jin on this Japanese song.
Yes. He always dominates in their Japanese songs.
I know. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just every single one of their Japanese songs, he's just the standout for me every time.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's the style of song.
I think it is, because from what I know about Japanese songs, they very much like kind of powerful, emotional, kind of big ballady type songs with a bit of like electronic mixed in with it. And I think that Jin really shines in those sort of like powerful, big songs. So I think that's probably why.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that's why. So yeah, so we're got something to look forward to. Yay.
And we'll probably get new photos and things as well, which will be great. Cover art, and so awesome. Yeah. Okay, and the final piece of news. So I don't know if you guys saw this going around Twitter, but an article came out about BTS and Radioplay. And I remember the journalist who wrote it actually asking ARMY for their opinions on BTS and radio. And it was basically about why radio won't play BTS. And so I just wanted to read a couple of quotes from it. This came from a source who used to work at iHeart, our favorite people in the world. And they said, if Boy With Love was by Halsey and Ed Sheeran or Halsey and Justin Bieber, no one would have had a doubt to play that record. So basically confirming what we all already know about the fact that the language is the main factor why radios won't play BTS. And if it was a Western act, they would be. I think we already all sussed this out. But I tell you the thing that bugs me the most about it is that it's just been years and years of them trying to deceive ARMY and make them jump through hoops of like, oh, there's not enough listeners, so they've started, ARMYs have streamed more and more, and then there's not enough views, so the views have been going up, there's not enough sales, so the sales have been going up. Like all of these types of things, or you need to retweet this to be played, oh, it's not requested enough, and it's just lie after lie. And I think ARMYs have got to the point now where they're not being fooled anymore. And so the article also said it's going to take an exceptional hit, a quite literally exceptional hit, to get BTS over the language barrier at radio. And I mean, yeah.
I mean, see, I don't know if I even believe that, right? If it's, you know, the issue is language. Because other songs have been massive hits, like Despacito is like the first one that comes to mind. Honestly, I think the issue is that Big Hit did not want to make the kind of commitments and have the same kind of relationships that other labels in the West have with radio. And or they were blocked from having those kinds of relationships. And I think this is a business decision. That's you know, things that are
Sorry
not...
if you could hear my dog.
No, I heard one bark.
And sorry.
That's
he
fine.
likes to be annoying.
But yeah, so I just think that this was a business decision made collectively. This is just my tinfoil hat theory that, you know, right? If you let BTS into the US and allow it all the avenues to become mainstream and on primetime radio the way you have all of Western acts, then you are decreasing your own market share, right? Because BTS is immensely popular. And their fandom is very loyal. We will go to everything. We will listen to everything. We will watch all of their TV appearances. We will be present. So if you allow them even more of an entry than they already have in the market, you are shrinking your own share of the market drastically. And once, it's kind of like a runaway train. Once you let BTS go, that's it. You know, you can't catch them up again. And all that money is then going to a foreign agency in Korea, and it's not even staying in the US. So I think they just all were like, no, like, we don't want this.
I completely agree with you. I don't want to go too much into it because I had like a whole hour-long discussion on the topic on a previous episode of the podcast. But I basically was saying the exact same thing, that I think that it's about power and it's about the fact that radios are losing relevance, and the only ways that they can still keep that is by having control over artists, whereas I think that BTS and Big Hit can't be controlled. And I had a big long discussion on it, so you can check that out if you want my opinion. But I completely
agree.
have
to check that out. I think I missed that.
Oh, you haven't watched it? I literally basically said exactly what you've just said for an hour.
Awesome. Great minds think alike.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we'll move on. If you want more in depth about that, then you can check out that episode as well.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that was our recap of this week's biggest news that we wanted to discuss with you guys. And we will move on to our next segment.
So, our next segment is called Army Review. And this is... Do you want to actually introduce it?
Yeah, so in Army Review, we're going to continue with going over the songs album by album that we were doing on the previous podcast. So if you're missing some of the songs on Army Time, we've already done them on the Bangtan Collective podcast, which is on Wednesdays. But so we're going to be continuing with that until we get to the end, which will probably take a long, long time. But
3 years. And in the meantime, BTS will come out with more music, so this segment will never end.
that is true. But I was thinking, like, after we got through the songs, we could go over things like music videos, but that's probably never going to happen because they have such a wide discography. But I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, one of the main things that I love about BTS is just their music. Their music is phenomenal. There's so much to it, so much to the lyrics, so much to the different genres they work with, the different talents that each of the members brings to each song. And I just could talk about their music for hours. So I really wanted to.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Their music is a 3D experience, right? Like, you don't just sit there and passively listen to it. It's interactive if you want it to be. It's as interactive as you'd like it to be. You want to go delve into, the lyrics. You want to look at the music video. They're like the BU.
You want to relate it to their journey and their personalities.
Yeah. So it's 3D, and that's why I think also why we all like it so much, because it's not like, here's a song, enjoy. It's, here's an experience, enjoy.
Yeah, and I kind of explained this before on an episode where even some of their songs that aren't my cup of tea musically, I can still like because maybe I like the choreography to it a lot, or maybe I like the lyrics to it a lot. So even if it's not my type of thing in one sense, it usually is in a different sense. So there's always something about their music that you enjoy. Like, I don't think there's a single song that they have where I don't like all of the elements, the music video, the choreography, the lyrics, the sound of it, I don't think there's a single one I could pick out that I don't like something about it.
Agreed. So on that note, let's talk about these 2 songs today.
Okay, so we played this one in our intro this week, and you'll be getting the next one in the outro. So, Like. Now, I've said before that Like is one of my favorite songs musically. It just makes me feel so happy when I listen to it. I think the fact that it came out so early and it sounds so good is amazing. And I love the kind of like laid back R&B old school type vibe it gives off, the mixing with like the rapping and the vocals harmonizing over the top of it. So I really love that about this song. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the lyrics, and we can get into why, but yeah, that's my overall.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, before we were going to talk about this, I don't think I had ever really looked up the lyrics to it.
Me neither.
I thought it was a happy song. And then I looked at the lyrics, and the song is actually about, like, being broken up and missing your old love and being annoyed that your love seems to have moved on and is having a great life. And you're still miserable. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew the basic premise that it had something to do with social media likes, because I think I'd skimmed the lyrics, but I hadn't like analyzed them. But yeah, like when I fully read the lyrics and like went into it, and I'll explain more when we go through the lyrics, but I think the reason I'm not the biggest fan of them is that their approach to love and to relationships back then, I feel like was very akin to their age, was quite an immature way of seeing it. And I think they've grown so much in how they now talk about love and about relationships. So seeing this and seeing these types of lyrics and these types of feelings towards love, it makes sense, but it's not something that I would personally relate to. Yeah.
But I mean, I think what you said is accurate, that they came out with this at a time when they were much younger, and the people listening to the music, I think we can all remember a time when we thought of romance and relationships like this. So even if you don't necessarily think this is the healthiest way of approaching it, you can still go, been there, had those
Oh,
feelings.
100%. And I think that's one of the things, like, I will pick apart some of their lyrics that I don't think are the best way of approaching things, because that's just me. I'm going to be honest about it. But I also want to make clear the fact that I've felt that way in the past. I've had unhealthy ways of viewing different concepts like love and friendships and things like that. It's very normal to go through that. And I think they have received enough downright hate for some of their lyrics when people weren't really thinking about it in the way that it was, you know, in the bigger
Agreed.
context of things.
Yeah. Okay, so then for like, do you want to give an overview of the lyrics?
Yeah, okay. So obviously we have kind of just the hook, which is just talking about like want to be cool and want to be loved and all this type of thing. So when it comes to like the different verses, I really like the way that they play around with this social media imagery. So the song is basically saying about how when you break up with somebody, and then you see their pictures on social media, like it makes you think of them and you have this kind of internal battle of like, should I like that photo, and who else is liking that photo, and does this mean she's moved on? Oh, I'm seeing her with a new boy, who's that? Or things like that. And I liked how each of the rappers kind of went through this debate of whether I should like the photo or not, and some of them do and some of them don't. And so it's very clever in the way that they have made a love song all around this idea of a like on a photo. I like that.
Yeah,
Like.
agreed. I was hey. I was gonna add to that and say I actually really enjoyed the fact that the three of them had different takes on what they would do in that situation, like the three rappers, and all of them just were sad. Like I'm like, my answer is D, none of the above. Like Namjoon goes first, and he's like I see your picture with your new guy. There's all I think he's saying that he did like it, but then he's like, now I'm just one of like 30 people who liked your photo, so I'm like nothing. I'm nothing. One of the masses. Yeah, and he was like, I feel pathetic. And then let's see,
and
Suga,
he says, why is there no hate button? And he has this conflict.
You saw hate as the translation? I saw dislike as the
Dislike,
translation.
yeah. I mean, I'm using Dulcet. I usually use their translations, but I think dislike seems more accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, I like her translations a lot better. I think it's a she. But I think I'm on Genius lyrics right now. Can I just say, I'm so proud of Genius for, like, I remember the time before BTS lyrics were on Genius lyrics. Like they were not recognized as a group that deserved to have lyrics on there. And then I watched all of their like newer stuff appear on there. Cool. And then they went back and put in all of their old lyrics, and I was just like, yeah, it felt very validating.
That's pretty cool, yeah. Anyway, what's Hobie's approach? Oh no, it's Yoongi next, isn't it?
Yeah, Yoongi's like, let's see, what does he say? He's just like, he decides not to do anything, and he hates himself for it. He's just like, I'm tormented by the fact that I did nothing. And I'm like, sad. And then
he's like, would you even notice? Like, are you even thinking about me at all?
Yeah, and then I like how he calls himself a goblin.
Yeah, I actually have so on Dulcet's translations, apparently a goblin's hat. So he says, I wear a goblin's hat. And apparently a goblin hat is the Korean equivalent of a cloak of invisibility.
Oh, cool. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So he's basically saying, like, he's watching from afar without making his presence known.
Yeah, and he hates himself. He's like, awesome, you still can't see me. I'm lurking. I'm
obsessed, and you don't care.
Yeah, and then the last one, Hobie says, I think, he likes it, and he's like, I'm gonna show you that I'm fine. I'm gonna like it and move on. And then he's like, I liked it and I hated myself for doing it. Because he just he's like, I the only thing that finds me is pity for myself.
Yeah, and he says as well, oh, where is it? That he's checking out of curiosity and so many other people have liked it. So like from this, he's taking it that they're doing so much better than he is. And yeah. So yeah, I really liked that element as well, and how each of them kind of have their own personal struggle with it. So I do want to go over some of these lyrics and why I don't think they're healthy. And again, I want to
go for it, Billy.
Yeah, I want to make clear that like I don't blame them in any sense, because when I was 17, I was very much the same way, and only when growing up have I kind of been able to see things in a different way. But there are problems with these lyrics, and it is important to point that out, because young people who might read them, or like, you know, it's just, I think it's important to notice when things aren't necessarily good, even if they come from your favorite group. So yeah, I am
Billy,
gonna
put on your feminist hat. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So first of all, there's a lot of jealousy in these lyrics, in the terms of, oh, you can't be with anybody else, and don't party so hard. And like it says here, I get jealous, so don't party so hard. And like, again, I think it's very much a young way of viewing relationships and breakups. Like when you break up with somebody, you're very much like, oh, you're not allowed to be with anybody else, and you shouldn't party so hard because that makes me feel like shit. But
yeah, this is like that. Well, what about like, you know how people always go like, there should be a mourning period after a breakup where neither side dates anyone or does anything, and then you can move on. And then there, you know, but usually it's like, you thought the mourning period was maybe, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, or several months, and the other person thought the mourning period was like, I don't know, a day. And then you're like, how dare you move on faster than me?
Yeah, and I mean, it always tends to be that competition, doesn't it, of like, which one's doing better faster and things like that. Okay, so like the other thing I wanted to mention is like this obsession with social media and with appearances of things, and how many people like something, and that must mean that you're popular, or how happy you look on social media, or like how often I'm checking up on you on social media and things like that. And again, I think it's very relatable, and I think it's a big problem in general in society, but it's not a good way of thinking, and we shouldn't be this obsessed and this involved in social media and believing it, and it can become very damaging to ourselves. And yeah, I think that's important to note when reading through these lyrics, is that this isn't a good way of feeling about a relationship. This isn't how you should approach it when you have a breakup. You should try to go about it in a more healthy way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's also difficult to understand what is the proper way of dealing with relationships in our age of social media. I'm married. My husband is also in Army, and I met him around the time when like people were just beginning to be more prevalent on social media, especially like romantically. It was like right as like all of those dating apps were coming out as well. So like I've never had much personal experience with like just dealing with people romantically through the internet, through social media.
I have.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So like all my other friends, like they all go through this stuff, and I'm like what is the right way of dealing with relationships? Like what is the healthy way? And it's not like there's a guidebook anywhere, right? We're all still, as people, collectively trying to figure out what is proper social etiquette on social media and what isn't. And is it okay to ghost someone? Is it not okay? Should you give people who you've broken up with access to your social media, or should you block them? Like, what is painful to do and what is cathartic? Who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, like, the point about this song, I think, is that they're not saying this is the best way of being. They're not actively putting it out there that we should be doing this and this is the best way of doing it. So again, like when I'm making these comments, it's not that I'm judging their mindsets, it's more that I like to make it clear that I don't agree with this way of being. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I do. And I do think it's important to say it, right? Because when we don't say things, everybody, even if they disagree, are just like, well, I guess this is the common way of thinking about this. Might as well get on board. And that's not the case.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I think it's very cleverly done how they have broken up these lyrics. And I really like the metaphor of the should I dislike, and things like that. And I think it's very relatable for people at that age. I know me personally, when I've had a breakup, I've literally like checked every half an hour to see if somebody's uploaded a new picture and how many likes they are and who it is that's liked that. But that's so bad and it's so negative and toxic for you, and it does not help. And so I think it's a relatable song for people that age, for people who are just experiencing like their first breakups and things like that. But I also think it's important to know that you should try not to be this way. Yeah.
Agreed. I'm also just going to note we're having some lag issues, so I think your audio came through just fine. I'm not sure if your video did. But to be honest, it's what we're talking about that's important. So
yeah, true. Yeah. I think we've fixed the lag, maybe, hopefully. So yeah, I just had a couple more points to add before we move on, and they'll just be quick ones. So I wanted to say that like this song in comparison to the rest of the album is such a like wide U-turn. It's so different. Like the album is very hip hop rap heavy, and this is the only song in the main album that is more has a bigger focus on vocals and is kind of slower and more R&B and chill. So I think that's nice to have that bit of versatility in their first album like that. And
so I just wanted to say, like, I think this is just me in my head, but I think they were obviously worried about the longevity of their own group. So they might have just told themselves, look, if we only have one shot, one mini album, can you call it an album? Or is it an EP?
Yeah, it's like a mini album.
Yeah, but they were like, what kind of messages do we want to give, right? Like, this is the album where you have their debut song, No More Dream, you have Bulletproof Part 2, No, and then you have this song, and then you have their outro skit. And I think between all of those songs and the skit, they were trying to show, here's who we are, here's the things that matter to us, the messages that matter to us, and here's our range of ability. We can give you hard-hitting, thought-provoking music, and we can also give you a raw, honest, like, R&B track. And, like,
and I think
capable.
I think as well, like, out of the whole album, this song is probably the safest. Like, this is the least kind of controversial. Oh, this is different. Controversial, yeah. Like it's a sweet kind of relatable breakup song that has like an easy to listen to melody, and like I think they might have just put in like, and I'm not saying it's bad because I love this song. I just think it's safer. And I think it's good to have that one song that kind of changes the tone and shows that you can do both. And I think they probably added this for that as well. Plus, it just shows off the vocals more, because even though you can hear the vocalists in the other songs, you can't appreciate their actual voices in the same way as you can on this track.
Yeah, because they're not front and center. The raps are the front and center in the other songs.
And so my last point is just how adorable this choreography is. I love this choreography. It's so cute. And there's one specific performance of them performing it where they're wearing like school uniforms and they just have these like excuse my language, shit-eating grins on their faces. And it is so adorable. And I literally watch it and I cannot stop smiling because it's so cute. And
Send this to me. I need to see this.
I will. It's so, you won't even believe it because literally like they're just like smiling slyly at the camera all the time. And I'm like, don't you look at me like that. Anyway.
Yeah. Have you seen their performance of this from American Hustle Life?
The one at the end of like series concert they put on.
Yeah, they're like show and tell thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Mm-hmm. And also, we have to point out how amazing their ARMYpedia version of it as well was, because that was everything.
That was like a reboot of their original songs.
Yeah, that was actually how I found this song, because when I was first learning about BTS, I didn't listen to all of their albums at first, and I would just watch videos and things like that. And I knew No More Dream, and I knew, what was the other one they performed?
No,
it was the...
Oh, from that thing, it's...
it sounds like
just
Sweet
just
Turn Me On. That's the one.
Just one day.
Yeah.
I don't know your song
That's how I
reference.
remember it. The lyrics, like it's a misheard lyric, it sounds like Sue Turn Me On. You can listen to it and find it.
We're gonna have to listen to this together, and you're gonna have to show me.
Okay, anyway. And yeah, so I knew those two songs because they both had music videos, but I hadn't heard this song. And then I heard it for the first time on ARMYpedia, and I was like, this is so good. And then that's actually one of the things that prompted me to go and listen through their whole discography from start to finish, because I was like, how do I not know this song?
I mean, ARMYpedia is the reason I loved the songs that they chose for it, because it was them showing, hey, you remember those original songs that we, made? Those were bomb even back then. We may not have had the recording capabilities or vocal abilities back then, but we've developed. And here's those same songs rebooted with the skills and abilities and resources that we have now. And boom, aren't they amazing?
And that's the exact same thing they did at the end of year award shows this time around, and I was living for every second of it.
I screamed every time they did Bulletproof Part 2. No, I was just... And then them lying about, they lied at the muster as well, right where they would always say, like, Jimin would be like, oh, I can never do that jump again, like, this dance is too hard, we can't do it anymore. And then they did it at muster and at the year-end shows, and I'm like, yeah, you can't do it anymore. Look at you. You're amazing.
Because this is the thing, and, like, we're going off onto a tangent, but I just have to say this. So please, can we change the screen? Thank you.
Yes, we're using this.
We're using it for the first time. Yay. Anyway, how amazing is the fact that they literally, like, they were so underappreciated when they first came out with this, and they had killer dance routines. Their lyrics were so badass, and they were just like, yeah, you don't believe in us, we're gonna show you all. And none of them were appreciated. None of the songs were like given the recognition they needed. And now when they're at the top of their game, they come out and are just like, oh yeah, you think we weren't good back then? Oh, how's this? And it was everything.
And I loved when they did it at the year-end shows, because you had everyone forced to watch it and be like, hey, remember all those songs you ignored and wouldn't give the time of day to? Now you have to watch them.
And you have to watch them as the final closing number of your show. Thank you.
Yeah, it was the biggest FU, and I loved every minute of it.
Me too.
And also, to be fair, like, conceptually it made sense, right? Because they were kind of trying to hint or transition into Map of the Soul, which is all about your identity and where you come from and how you got from where you were to where you are now. And so obviously it makes sense to do older songs again, to like revisit them. So conceptually that makes sense, but also it was such a beautiful FU, and I know ARMYs loved it everywhere. My Twitter was exploding because we were all so freaking smug. And, and it's well deserved.
So petty. I felt so petty, and I was just like, this feels so good, and it was just the best. Okay, going back. So,
Alright.
the next song we have is
Outro, Circle Room, Cypher. Can you call it a
yeah,
song?
yeah. I think it's more of a skit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. So,
Okay, do you want to explain what the skit is about?
so the basic thing that I got from it is just them kind of talking about how I think they're at school. I think this
Um,
takes place in school.
I think it's school got out,
Mhm.
and they're visiting Yoongi in his studio.
Right, yeah. So I suppose this kind of leads on from the skit that they had in the previous album when they were in like a break from school. So anyway, and Yoongi says that he's produced a killer beat and that they should just all mess around and like try and rap to it together. So, I mean, I don't have too much that I want to say about the lyrics here, apart from that it's just their personalities coming through and you kind of get to learn a little bit about each of them. But the main thing that I take from this song is it's just kind of like a way of them bonding and showing that they just like music
They
and
just
hip
like
hop
hip
in
hop.
general. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I need to turn my page because my notes are on the other side. But
Okay.
so what did you think of this for starters?
I was gonna say, adding on to the comment I was making before about how I felt like this album was them showcasing what they could do. This was them also, right? Because they would always say that, oh, hip hop music, hip hop albums have skits in them.
Mm-hmm.
So here's us doing a skit, and here's us in a scenario of, the supposed day to day, right? That they're,
And doing a cipher, I just want to add, which is so like typical of hip hop, is just to put on a beat and just go around and like do your thing on it.
yeah, so that was them saying like we live and breathe this stuff. We're not
Mhm.
fake. Like this
Yeah.
is what we really like. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't like actually on the spot freestyle. I'm sure they thought of
Yeah.
what they wanted to say, but this was them trying to showcase like here's who we actually are. We're not fake posers. We actually love hip hop and we love
Mhm.
doing ciphers. We love making beats and we love
Yeah.
like being together. And because like at one point, like in the beginning where Yoongi's like, oh, I made another beat, do you guys want to hear it? And then Jungkook's like, again you wrote another one. And then Taeyoung's in the background going, why do we always record? Like it
Can we
was
have a
just,
break?
yeah, it was them saying like, just I don't know, just like conveying without saying out loud like this is who we are, and like you should pay attention to us because we're not trying to be fake, we're trying to be real.
And not just that, I think as well that like this is a risky song to put in an album, like
You
because
think
it's
so?
not a song, it's
Oh.
it's something else, and it just shows from the beginning that they're breaking the mold based on their sincerity and how they feel about things, and just they love hip hop, and this is what hip hop is about. So that's what we're going to include, whether it's the most likely for people to bop to or to like be their favorite track or to fit the majority. That doesn't matter. What matters is that we want to show our love for hip hop and for music. And yeah, I like it a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Can we go through what each of their short little raps is about?
Yeah, but before we do that, I
Mm-hmm.
just so I went back and rewatched Yoongi's album review for this album. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when he used to do them, they were so cool, and I'm sad that he doesn't do them anymore. But
Yeah.
so
We can go
he was
back to this when we do stuff later.
hmm So he was talking about why they did it. And so he said, if you ask why we did this, we just wanted to show that we genuinely love hip hop. Being good or bad at it is a secondary fact. So like that's the reason. Like he said so himself. And I think the important thing to note in those quotes is he's saying it doesn't matter if you're good or bad at it, and we get all the vocalists having a try, and it reminded me a lot of what Hobie said in American Hustle Life as well, where he said that like when he first joined, it was just all rappers, and they always used to just freestyle around each other, and he would join in even though he didn't really know what he was doing at that point, and it just makes you think that this is something they probably did a lot, and they wanted to just include it because it just rang true for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I had not actually heard Yoongi's review for that one, so it makes me feel happy that I guessed the reason and was right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, or can we go through their parts?
Oh, I just wanted to say that they use Satori. I never know how to pronounce it. Do you know how?
Satori?
Satori. Okay, there we go.
You know, Satori.
Yeah.
I don't speak Korean.
Yeah, same. But yeah, they use that a lot, and they use a lot of like regional references, which I thought was really cool as well in this, which I liked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got Tay in a Cypher.
Yes.
Okay.
I wonder when for him, I don't know if we know this, do we? Like when he changed his mind to be a part of the vocal line instead of part of the rap line?
I'm pretty sure that is not true. I think that's a false rumor that is commonly known in the fandom, and a lot of people think that he joined as a rapper, but he actually didn't. So I don't think that that's actually true, but I'm not 100% sure.
I wonder if anybody could give us any more concrete information, because if it's a rumor, I would love to be set straight, because I didn't know it was a rumor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but I'm not 100%. Yeah. Well, somebody, if you know, I'm sure you have like receipts or something, as ARMY always has receipts. Let us know the facts for that one.
Straight facts, no copies.
Mm-hmm. So let's go over each of theirs then.
Okay.
Actually, before we do that, which one is your favorite?
Of them all, like when doing this?
Yeah.
I think Jin's part is really funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I really like Yoongi's. And I'll tell you why if once we start talking about it.
Okay. I like JK's the most.
Yeah, I love his part too. I don't know. You put me on the spot. I don't like picking favorites. I love all.
Yeah. Like Jimin said in that interview. Do you remember?
I relate to that comment, and I say it every day of my life. I don't like picking favorite anything. I can give you a collective of things I like, with no one thing being the best.
Mm-hmm. But you always ask me to rate everything on the spot, so there you go.
I'm also hypocritical. It's fine.
I think we've got lag again.
Oh crap. Okay, let me restart. Okay, so going into the lyrics, the first one who raps is Yoongi, and I don't know if you noticed, but he talks about his tongue again. It started from the beginning. Yeah. So like he's always been very proud of his tongue and how well he can use it, and I find that very admirable, and I don't really know what else to say, because I feel like I'm gonna blush. Yeah,
I find it interesting. That's all I will comment.
He just has an oral fixation.
Yeah, apparently so.
But yeah, and then I like that he goes, "Our music makes the women cry."
Like, is that a good thing? Cry in what sense? Because if we're meaning crying in like a different kind of crying, then a bit raunchy.
I didn't think of it that way, but now you're making me see it in a whole new light.
Yeah, well, it might be. You never know. Like, come on.
With him, yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I saw somebody say on Twitter today that they think that Yoongi is the least horny member, and I was like, have you listened to any of his songs? Because
All
I'm
of his
sorry.
lyrics are the most sexual.
Yeah, literally, exactly. So
I'm gonna shut that one down right there.
yeah,
Okay.
moving on.
Yeah, so after Yoongi, Namjoon goes, and by the way, he has a line that says, "I'm the igatan that heals you," and I actually googled that, and that is a remedy for gingivitis, igatan. A Korean remedy for gingivitis, and if anybody wants to correct me or provide more information, please do, because all I have is Google. But I
What is our friend?
Yeah, but I was just looking at that and I was like, I don't know what that is. Why is it healing me? Oh, he's trying to say that, like, I'm so good for you. I heal your gingivitis? I don't know. But yeah, and then I liked his, like, he has, like, a bunch of metaphors in his rap where he's just like, Pompeii, you just erupted, cover up those mountains.
Yeah, I love that he just literally throws it in there like a historical event. Like, why not? Let's talk about Pompeii. Who comes up with that? Like, just like, now I'm going to talk. Well, that is very true.
Namjoon's just going to use his big brain and he's going to make you feel twice as stupid.
Yes.
Yeah. But then he ends it and he's like, wait, guys, I need to pee.
Which is the most, like, going from RM to Namjoon thing I've ever seen, and I love it.
Yeah, and then they all, like, freak out over it and they think it's funny. But yeah,
Army tangent, quickly. Wait for it. Nice. So did you watch the video that came out today, the episode of Behind for the MMA?
No! When would I have had time? We were preparing for this, Billy.
Well, I watched it.
You are 5 hours ahead of me. So yeah.
That's a fair point.
Can you say anything without spoiling it?
Yeah, it's not a spoiler. It's just a comment about when Namjoon was putting on his hat. Just look at his face. When he's putting on his hat, when you watch it, just watch his face because he's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it just reminds me of, like, it's the most Namjoon thing ever. And then he goes on and, like, performs Persona and he's so badass and cool. And it's just, yeah, he's the best.
Okay. I will look forward to that then. That's adorable.
Yeah.
Okay. Tangent over. All right, so then after that, Jungkook goes, and he's just saying that, well, first of all, he's like, this isn't my first time rapping, and I'm like, yeah, and then he had all those comments about, like, brand names, where he's like, honestly, I don't know all these brand names, but he's just like, if you measure up, it's brand name setting, suited to an MC, all that MCM. I don't know what MCM is. But then he's like, Gucci, Alexander McQueen. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know those ones. I think I like his the most just because I feel like he goes the hardest. Like, in his tone of voice and everything. Also, it says, I cover them all during the summer, then I catch them all. And I was like,
that Pokemon?
It's too early for Pokemon. Like, that hasn't come out yet, JK. Yeah, I'm so glad. Do you see this, like, intuition we have going on here? Love it.
Yeah, one brain cell.
Yeah,
one.
All
right, and then after is Taeyang.
Yeah.
I like where he's just, like, complimenting his Hyung's, and he's like, Namjoon Hyung's lyrics, he's all mature now. I'm like, that's kind of also a backhanded insult.
Yeah, it's like, what was he before?
Yeah, or I think he was also making fun of Hobie for, like, getting stomach aches when he's nervous. I feel like I saw some kind of, like, Bangtan bomb way back when that was like, when they all get nervous, they all get stomach aches and, you know, just
go to the bathroom a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I like how at the end he's like, Yoongi Hyung, you alive, son?
Oh my god. Now, see, I think this might be a stretch because I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going to make a guess. I think he might be like talking about their regions, because I have a feeling that like Go Make Us Some Kimchi is like it might be linked to that. And I'm pretty
Regional
sure when
thing?
he says Yoongi Hyung, your live son, he says it in a Daegu accent.
Yeah, that's
He
what
mentions
Genius
he's
told us.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Like someone highlighted, it's like an unconfirmed comment on Genius, but they're like, this isn't Satori.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I just kind of guessed based on how it sounded.
Nice.
But so that might be completely wrong. I'm just guessing, but it would be quite cool if he was like talking to each of them in terms of their regions. Yeah.
Can anyone help us out here?
Yeah,
Any
let us know.
Korean speaking armies, please help.
Song, if you're there. That's our resident Korean.
Just one.
She's the one on the channel. She's part of the channel. You'll meet her. She's great.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. Hi. All right, so after that, Hobie goes, and I really like his part in this because
So do I,
like,
actually.
it's very rhythmic. I've always loved his ability to be very melodic and rhythmic in how he raps, because it's just this extra layer, and for someone who can't speak Korean and understand all of those references and meanings from the get-go, the way he does it, I don't need to know what the lyrics are. I hear the rhythm and I'm like, yeah, I'm into this.
He's very bouncy with it. Like he goes like up and down and up and down, and like he plays with his rhythms and his kind of tones of voice. And I think it's something that has stayed the same from the beginning until now. He's just very good with that kind of like playing around in and out of the beats in terms of like how his tone shifts and like his delivery of things. So I really like that.
I think that relates to his dancing background, right? You know, when you dance around a rhythm and like maybe not on it, in front of it, behind it.
Yeah.
I just think
And you have to be very in tune with like not just the bass beat, but also like the offbeat and the like double beat and just everything in a piece of music.
Yeah, and I love that he took that and he's like, I'm going to bring that to rap. I'm not going to change myself to be the rapper that everybody else is. I'm going to bring who I am and add that to rap.
Yeah, and it honestly makes him quite a unique rapper in the sense that I couldn't name anyone, I think, that has the same kind of approach to rap as he does.
Same. I don't think I could either.
I also wanted to point out that he talks about Gwangju and Jeollado as well. Every time I pronounce a Korean word, I just feel ashamed afterwards. So please excuse me. But
Same.
it happens every time I pronounce a Korean word. I'm like, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Anyway, yeah, he talks about this like in so many of his songs, and like I just love that he has been doing it right from the beginning, like being proud of his region and where he comes from and highlighting it. So that was cool.
Yeah. I love their pride in where they come from, because I don't have that pride, right? I don't come from where they come from, but I understand that feeling. So when I see it from them, I also feel proud on their behalf. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You do represent.
Yeah. And I tell you what else I like about it. Because from what I know about the different regions in Korea, they have like conflicts with one another. Certain regions have conflicts with other regions and things like that. And what I love about it is that each of them are proud of their region, but they also like have formed this unified bond between them all that makes like, it just goes to show that like conflicts and things like that like doesn't need to be the case. And obviously they talk a lot more, and we'll talk a lot more about it when we get to Satori rap. But yeah, I love that about them.
Yeah, no, same, exactly. Thank you for putting that into words. I've always felt like that as well.
Yeah, you're welcome.
They're just a musical representation
Of unity.
of unity. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. So after Hobie,
my name is Jin.
Is Jin's verse, and it's so stupid, and I love it. I love it so much.
I know.
And the thing is like, you know that they thought about what he was gonna do, and he's like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a good rapper.
Although
gonna
he's
try.
improved.
I mean, like, now, yeah, but just like back then, he's like, I'm not gonna pretend to be what I'm not, and I don't even care if I make a fool of myself or if it's cringy, and it is cringy, and I love it, and I just keep laughing. And every time I rewatched it, like preparing for this, I would cringe more and more because I'd know what was coming, and all of them in the background are like, "What are you doing?" No.
Oh no, but I tell you what I love about it is like how they're all completely hyping up this just terrible rap, and I love it because it's like it's the type of thing I would come out with if I tried to rap. But like I love how he's like, my name is Jin, and they're like, Jin in the background.
Yeah.
And it's just what you need from Friends to just be like, yeah, you got this. This sounds great. Keep going.
Yes.
I love that.
And then he's like, my nickname, Jin Da. So my nickname is Jin, and my stage name is Jin.
Jin. Yeah.
It's like,
oh, it's the best.
Nobel Prize right there.
Yeah, and it just gives it such a like light-hearted and like
relatability,
fun. Yeah, and it just from day one it shows their crackhead side and their side that's not ashamed to just make fun of themselves and have a laugh and be silly. And yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And then after that, we have Jimin's verse where he's being very mean. Where he's like, my rap makes the vocal team wet their pants. Taeyong, please get up. You smell a little fishy. Look me up in advance. And I'm just like, I mean, granted, like, that's a good burn. Like, whatever, like, I whatever he thought he was doing, like, he was trying to be cool. But he just made it so mean. And then afterwards, Taeyong was just like, I knew you were going to diss me.
Mm-hmm. But isn't that like, didn't Tae get his revenge? Isn't it when they have that rap battle, isn't it between Jimin and Tae? And Tae is like, he just keeps saying, you're sure, and things like that. And he's like, you're not rapping, you're just dissing me.
What rap battle?
I think it's in one of their like Bangtan bombs. It's the one where Yoongi is like, oh, he's like Jay-Z. Oh, shit. You know that one?
Oh, yeah.
I think that Tae and Jimin go up against each other, and Tae isn't rapping, he's just insulting Jimin. He's like, you're not even rapping, you're just dissing me.
That's the sign of a true friendship, where you're like, hi, this is being recorded, and I don't care, I'm going to make fun of you. I'm going to be me.
Mm-hmm. It's funny.
Yeah, and then all of the rest of them are like, why are you being so mean? And they like make fun of him to Jimin. But yeah, and then I like that they kept recording, and they're like, okay, we're done. Let's go eat. I'm hungry. And then you just hear the sound of them leaving and going to get food.
Yeah, and I mean that's literally the end of the album, like without the hidden tracks. So it's like them kind of leaving in the sense of leaving the room and going out to get food, but like leaving the album behind. And it's just a really like laid back way of finishing your album. So I really like that.
Me too. I like the mental exit that you make from the music as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, back to reality.
Oh, there goes gravity.
Exactly.
All right, are we finally done with our review?
We are done with
awesome
lyrics.
Okay, so think it's time for a break?
I think so too. Everyone recuperate, make yourself a coffee or a tea, go pee. Gino definitely needs to go pee. And yeah, we'll be back.
Okay.
Yo, 나는 누구인가 평생 물어본 질문 질문 아마 평생 정답은 찾지 못할 그 질문 나는 놈을 고정 말 몇 개로 답할 수 있었다면 신께서 그 수많은 아름다움을 담아주신 나는겠지 how you feel 지금 기분이 어때 사실 난 너무 좋아 근데 조금 불편해 나는 내가 개지 돼지인지 뭔지도 아직 잘 모르겠는데 남들이 와서 진주 먹거리를 꺼내 예전보단 더 웃어 소환했던 슈퍼히로 이제 진짜 된 것 같아 근데 갈수록 뭐 말들이 많어 누군 달리라고 누군 멈춰서라 해 얘는 숲을 보라고 걔는 들곳을 보라 해내 그림자라는 망설이 이라 쓰고 불렀네 개그가 되고 나서 망설인 적이 없었네 무대 아랬던 나는 조명 아랬던 자꾸 나타나 아지라기처럼 뜨겁게 자꾸 나 노려보네 야 이 짓을 왜 시작한 거지 벌써 이제냐 넌 그냥 들어주는 네가 있단 게 막 좋았던 거야 가끔은 그냥 싹 다 헛소리 같아 쉬면 나오는 거 알지 시기 같아 나 따위가 무슨 뮤직 나 따위가 무슨 춤 나 따위가 무슨 소명 나 따위가 무슨 뮤즈 내가 아는 나의 그 뭐점 그게 사실 내 전부 세상은 사실 아무 관심 없어 나의 서춤 지칠리지도 않은 후회들과 매일 밤 싱그럽게 뒤굴고 돌릴 길 없는 시간들이 습관처럼 비틀어도 그때마다 날 또 이렇게 세운 것 최초의 질문 내 이름 펑샤 그 가장 앞에 wild bus so I'm acting once again yeah who the hell am I tell me you're next baby do you wanna die or do you wanna go you do you wanna fly what's it show what's it drink do you think you lie oh shit I don't know man but I know one thing Yeah, my name is 내가 기억하고 사람들이 아는 날 토로하기 위해 내가 스스로 만들어낸 나의 난 날 속여왔을지도 뻥쳐왔을지도 부끄럽지 않아 이게 내 영혼의 지도 You're myself 넌 절대로 너의 혼돈을 내지 마 따뜻히도 차갑게도 될 필요 없으니까 가끔은 위선적이어도 위약적이어도 이 내가 걸어두고 싶은 내 방향의 척도 내가 되고 싶은 나 사람들이 원하는 나 네가 사랑하는 나 또 내가 빚어내는 나 웃고 있는 나 가끔은 울고 있는 나 지금도 매분 매순 가사라 숨쉬는 persona Who the hell am I? I just wanna go I just wanna fly I just wanna give you all the voices till I die I just wanna give you all the shoulders when you cry Persona Who the hell am I? I just wanna go I just wanna fly I just wanna give you all the voices till I die I just wanna give you all the shoulders when you cry
모든 게 궁금해질 때 tell me oh yeah 뭐가 널 행복하게 하는지 text me oh yeah Your every picture 내 머리만 듣고 싶어 babe Come be my teacher 네 모든 걸 다 가르쳐줘
내 삶은 on top 관계 섭섭하지 않게 만들어버린 너라는 배 하나부터 열까지 모든 게 특별하지 너의 관심사 걸음걸이 말투와 사소한 작은 습관들 같이 난 말했지 너무 작다 내가 영웅이 된 거라고 난 말했지 운명 따윈 전부터 내게 아니었다고 세계의 평화 거대한 질서 그저 널 지켜봐 이제 여기 너무 높아 난 내 눈을 널 맞추고
싶어. Yeah, you make it let me your boy with love. Oh my mind, oh my mind. You get me high so fast. 내 전부 함께 하고 싶어. Oh my mind, oh my mind. You get me fly so fast. 이제 조금은 나 알겠어. Love is nothing stronger. Than a boy with love. Love is nothing stronger. Than a boy with love.
까놓고 말하길 나도 모르게 힘이 들어가기도 했어. 높아버린 sky 커져버린 헛 때론 도망치게 해달라며 기도했어. But 너의 상처는 나의 상처 깨달았을 때 나 다짐했던 건 네가 준 이 그 후세 나에게로 태양이 아닌 너에게로 Let me fly.
Oh my mind, oh my mind. I waited all my life. 내 전부 함께 하고 싶어. Oh my mind, oh my mind. Looking for something right. 이제 조금은 나 알겠어. I want something stronger than a moment, love. Love is nothing stronger than a boy with love.
Welcome back.
Oh, you didn't tell me you were turning back the cameras on. I was dancing away.
Sorry.
I was like
mean,
singing into my mic and everything.
I mean, that's what we do the entire time. I keep doing these breaks.
Yeah, we're just here like, I want it.
Yeah,
Keep
and then
dancing.
pointing to each other through the camera, just being stupid.
Yeah, basically, you should see our dance moves.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna forget to hit the break time, and we're just gonna still be on camera.
Yeah, you'll just see us dancing and singing along,
I don't
which you
care
might
anymore.
enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, considering the number of technical difficulties we have filming this, sure, it might still happen.
Yeah, exactly. It just reminded me when we were in the break that I forgot to say earlier. So I just need to say this. Is that my microphone is very echoey right now because it's my spare mic. I can't find my good one. I need to look for it properly. But it's going to be in a box or something because I am redecorating my entire house right now and everything is packed away. And yeah, so my backdrop is not very pretty and my microphone is very echoey. But you're just going to have to deal with it until I can fix it. Please understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. Like, the echo is not that bad at all. And
Yeah, I mean, it could be better.
yeah, one day we'll fix all of our technical issues and have everything working perfectly. But if we wait until that day, we won't be recording an
Yeah.
episode for another, like, frickin' month at this point.
Exactly.
So it is what it is. At least you hear our voices and us being
Yeah.
crackheads. So
And I mean, I've also lost daylight. The sun has set here now, so my lighting has turned pretty bad because we had lots of technical difficulties at the start of recording, so we had to start later than we wanted.
what else is new?
What else is new? Exactly.
Ah.
So,
So, that being said, shall we transition to our new next segment?
we should, and I'm very excited. Are you?
Yes. Would you like to introduce it?
We are going into Army Fun Time, and that will be this week. Oh, wait, before we change. So, Army Fun Time is just a segment for us to just have some fun, as the name suggests.
We're really creative here.
Yeah,
when we name
exactly.
things.
But each week will be something different, so look forward to that. We've got loads of different games and different things that we're going to be doing with you guys. But for this week, it's Army SmackDown.
Brr, 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 brr.
Yeah.
I don't have that audio, so I'll just make it myself.
Yeah,
All
and I mean, my voiceovers are pretty bad, but that's all we've got time for now.
No, you again, with your accent, you just make it all sound so intellectual.
Oh, well, that's fine then. I was going for like a kind of WWE hype introduction, but I don't think I have the voice for it.
No, whatever. All right, so
what are we debating this week? Can you explain what Army SmackDown is?
Army SmackDown is literally just us debating things, having arguments, and trying to win a non-existent prize because we're both very opinionated.
And we like to win.
Yes. So, which makes me actually wonder how we are going to decide a winner in this, because neither one of us is going to want to concede. Maybe we should have thought of having, you know what? Maybe the people watching can decide who is right.
That's true. And I mean, we can, we'll make a pact now, as hard as it is, that if I think you're beating me in the argument, I will accept you as the winner, and you have to do the same.
Yes. Okay, let's make that pact. Let's be honest.
That hurt me to say.
All right, so this week we are going to be debating on best hair colors and kind of hairstyles on each BTS member.
So we each picked our favorite for each member, and we are going to try and explain why ours is the winner and why you're stupid.
I will also caveat this by saying we picked our pictures a week ago. In the span of half an hour, we just searched our phones and internet for whatever pictures. I do not remember what my own choices are, what yours are.
Yeah, I mean, I have the colors in my mind, but I can't remember what the pictures were that I picked. So it'll be a nice surprise.
Yeah. All right. So shall we begin?
So who's the first member we're doing?
We're going in fan chant order. So first is Namjoon.
Okay.
And here is our two pictures.
Ooh.
So let's see. I picked very light blonde, platinum blonde. And
click on your screen for me so that those little dots go away.
There you go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued as to how we both picked light colors. That's quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I mean, it might just be the way this photo was edited, but I want to say that my Namjoon has even lighter hair than yours. Mm-hmm. Yours is kind of like a rose blonde, and that's from her era, right?
It's peach.
Peach. Is it from her era? Because that's what it makes me think of.
I can't remember now. I just remember that I love him with peach hair, so I just Googled Namjoon with peach hair.
Set, go. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously our hairs are very similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think the majority of people, and I think Namjoon himself has said that he likes lighter hair on himself.
Oh, he has?
I think so.
I mean,
but I might be getting it wrong.
Well, either way, I like that canon. Headcanon accepted. I think it works really well for him, with
his skin tone. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then plus I think I like his dark eyebrows and then his light hair.
Yeah, I think it just goes really well with his skin, and when he has light hair, it just suits him so much. So I like blonde June as well. So I'm not opposing your choice, but I still think mine is better.
I mean, this is where the hard part is, right? Because if I was gonna see him on stage, I would want to see him with platinum blonde. But if he was my boyfriend, I would want peach. So
yes.
I think do we have to change the parameters for our SmackDown?
Yeah, I suppose it's difficult because it depends on the scenario they're in. But no, it's an overall, what is the best? And you have to tell me why stage platinum blonde Namjoon outweighs boyfriend peach colored Namjoon.
I don't think he does. You know what? I think you win.
Yeah, same.
I like peach blonde.
Yeah, and just look at that adorable face as well. I like
the
dimple hair.
The dimple.
Yeah. I really like the platinum hair, but I think that peach is just the best color for him.
It's soft.
I love it.
It matches
so
his.
Soft.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you win.
Ooh.
Moving on. The next one is Jin.
Wait. There's no way you did not pick forehead Jin. I'm sorry. You lose. No, next
What?
one. We all know forehead Jin is the winner. So is this even a debate?
Well,
God, did you even try?
Excuse me, the picture you picked, you can barely see the forehead. And in mine, okay, first off, the outfit that Jin is wearing is perfect for that blonde hair. And I just love how ethereal he looks.
Yeah, blonde Jin is superior, but forehead Jin with black hair wins every time. Did you see him on that horse at the MMA performance? He looked like a prince that just came down from heaven. So let's be real here. I win.
Okay, I can concede again. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the forehead. I forgot to think about that. You're right. The forehead always wins with him.
You know, usually I would not be this defensive, but I know I'm the winner in this case.
I'm gonna go on a tangent really quick and say, do you, oh, did I break you? I think I broke you by switching us.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not gonna go on a tangent.
Oh, I want to hear the tangent.
Well, I need to stop recording for a minute and restart. So, the tangent that I wanted to go on is, do you remember, I can't remember what, it was last winter, I think after some award show, they BTS posted a picture together on Twitter, and Jin had his hair pulled back, and he was just leaning on the table and staring at the camera, and everyone just lost their shit over it, because we were like, he looks like a god with his forehead. And I don't think any of us expected to have that reaction.
I wasn't on Stan Twitter at this time, so I wouldn't be able to know. But I am not surprised at all that ARMY Twitter went feral over Jin's forehead. It is dominant.
And it's I have a screenshot somewhere where I just zoomed in on the picture and it's just his forehead. And I'm his face, with his forehead. And I was like, I need this.
He looks so good. I like his hair when he has his normal style that he tends to keep, but when he has that kind of slightly longer push to the side look, and he just looks so good. It's not even allowed.
Yeah, it is. All right, fine. Well, you win again. Moving on.
Yeah. Okay.
The next one, I win this one. Just mint
I did have a hard time
mint hair
choosing between.
Yeah, mint hair Yoongi is just the best. I love his punk look. I loved the way it looked with his skin. I loved whatever they always did with his lips was always this really complimentary color, pink color. And then in this picture he also has fake tattoos. But it just in general I just thought that combination of his hair, his skin, and usually they put him in punk outfits. It was just so good.
Yeah, honestly, I will definitely let you win this one, because I was mint or blonde, mint or blonde, mint or blonde. I didn't know, and the reason I chose blonde is because the hottest I think Yoongi has ever looked is in his Augustine music video. He looks so good in that music video, and he is blonde in that music video, and I've never been more attracted to him as I am in that music video. So blonde ruled out for me. But I also was very close to picking mint, so I will let you win.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I actually also had a hard time. It was mint or blonde, and I had a bunch of blonde pictures. And then I remembered the mint hair, and I was like, I'm crazy. It's mint hair all the way, and I wish you had done that back. But
I know. Alas. I mean, everyone loves mint Yoongi. It's the obvious winner. Yeah.
Yeah. I also remember, I think it was during the time when he was having all his hair dyed, that he was just my hair has been dyed so many times, my scalp hurts, my entire head hurts, and he was just suffering. And I feel since then he hasn't colored his hair that much, or am I wrong?
I think it's been darker, but he's been coloring it maybe not as intensely,
Yeah, because I mean, like, if you color your hair darker, it's fine. It's when you go lighter that you have to bleach, and the bleach is what ruins your scalp.
I mean,
Speaking
he's had
from
it blonde
personal
recently.
experience.
Yeah, he's had it blonde recently. So in like Carpool, he was blonde. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, if you do it periodically, it's fine. If you do it,
yeah,
if you re-bleach all the time, that is painful.
I also really do like his black hair. Like him in the Not Today video, he looks really good with his hair there.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so I
But
win
you
this
win.
one. Yoo-hoo! My first win. Moving on. So then, Hobie.
Nice choice.
Thanks. I like yours too.
I can respect your choice. Again, these were the two I was going between because the one on the left makes me think of Jay. Like he is fully Jay in that hairstyle. Like when he has like the slightly long, kind of messy, dark brown look.
They're like wet curls almost.
Yeah. And it's very good, but I think his red hair still wins.
See, I don't know about that because like that color on him, the like chocolate brown, I don't think it's his natural color, but I really like it on him because I think it's very becoming on his face, and that hairstyle, the, you know, like the wet curls, it's very him.
He looks very boyfriend with that hairstyle.
He looks like a cool boyfriend. And then, yours, I like the color, but I don't think that is his ideal hairstyle.
Oh yeah, I think I chose it because of the color rather than the style with this one. And this wasn't even like the best picture I could find that is kind of showing it. Like there's a point when he had like a kind of plummy red, and I couldn't find a good picture of it. But it's like it's slightly darker than this red. It's like deeper and plummy. And I really loved that color. But I prefer your style than my style. But I prefer my color. Yeah.
I prefer my color and style.
I'm going to find this one hard to concede, to be honest. But I also liked your style, so I'll let you win.
Yes! Okay, so we're tied.
But now it's all guns blazing because we're tied, so I know, like, yeah.
Well, there's an odd number of them, so one of us will win.
One of us will win. And it
all
will
right,
be me.
So now, Jimin.
Oh, okay. We're very similar here.
We are. We like light-colored Jimin.
And mine is like a silvery, and yours is silver too. Honestly, I was going for silver, and this I just preferred this slightly darker silver than the completely like platinum silver.
You like the natural hair
Jimin.
colors. You like the natural hair colors, don't you?
Yeah, like the bright colors aren't my favorite. I don't know. I think that it looks better when it seems more natural.
Hey Billy.
But I still like.
Billy, look at our own hair colors.
That's true. Yeah.
We picked our preferences. You went the more natural route, and I went the more like out there route.
Crazy. Yeah. But I love it. Like I love when they have really bright colors, but if I was to choose when I'm most like attracted to them, it's usually when they have like more, but yeah, like more natural but still kind of outlandish. Like with Hobie, I like a deep red, and with Jimin, like it's silver but it's like a blonde silver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I just really love blonde on Jimin because I love when he looks like an angel, and I think his style of dance is very just graceful and angelic and out of this world, and I love when his hair matches that. To be fair, your hair color and that outfit that he wore to that award show killed all of us. And like there's some really sexy daddy pictures of him from that award show.
I will say that I think I've taken this one purely because of the pictures, and my picture is giving it to me.
But see, this is my bias, so I can't concede my preference.
But he looks better in my picture though, come on. But I will say this though, our choices are basically the same.
They are. We could have a tie.
We can have a tie, okay.
Okay, tie.
Deal.
Next one. All right, so now we're gonna do your bias.
Yeah.
It's our hair color preferences again.
Yeah, it is literally. Oh, yeah, see, he looks great with blue, but like he looks so good to the point that I want to cry with his black permed hair. Like, oh my god, it looks like he's just rolled out of bed, and that just kills me inside.
To be fair, the original picture that I was going to pick for this is him from MMA 2019, where he had that, like, beautiful perm, chocolate brown reddish hair. So, like, it's the perm. Like, his ideal hairstyle is the perm. But I loved his blue. I thought it was... He has such a unique face. Like, his looks... In my opinion, I don't know anyone else who looks like that. And I think when he has a hair color to match that makes him stand out, it's just the perfect combo. Like, I'm also thinking of when he was at the Grammys, not this past year, but the year before, where he had that mint green hair. And everybody was commenting on it. And that's how we pulled in a lot of locals. Because they were like, what is this mint green hair?
I completely disagree. And I think it's because of how beautiful and striking his face is that natural colors work better for him, because it doesn't draw attention away from his beautiful face. And when he has a darker color as well, it makes his features stand out more, I think, which is why I like the black so much. Like, it just highlights his individual features on his face, and that's why I like the like dark natural colors on him, because when he has like bright blue hair, your eyes immediately go to his hair, and like it's not enhancing his features, whereas I feel like with my hair choice, that's like just enhancing his handsomeness rather than taking away from it.
Yeah, you know what, I can concede this one because you have the perm, and because my original choice for this was the darker perm color. So
yeah, his perm is the best.
But I really love him when he's blue. And then during Persona era, when he had like the dark blue, I love that too. It was so pretty.
I liked it in the Boy With Love video. Yeah, he did look really good with it.
Okay, so you win that one. And then our final one. we have like the same color almost.
Yeah, we basically have the same. Cherry Koo.
Yeah.
Now, I want to, before we get into it about this one, I want to give a runner-up for JK, and that would be his, like, black wet look hair that he had at, like, Fifth Muster, and for a while, when he was, like, really into that wet look hair, because
and the
honestly,
long hair.
The longer, like, the long wet look black hair, because, he does not look like a baby with that hair. Not at all.
Yeah, but, agreed.
But I wanted to mix it up because I picked that for like Tay, and I also think that Cherry Koo is the best.
I loved him in this color, but I did want to say I was gonna pick dark, wet, long-haired JK, but I didn't want to be basic. So I picked this color, and so did you. But I also did want to say, like, for JK, I loved his hair when it was that long style, and I love that he was growing it out. And the thing is like, I feel like all of them don't take half measures when it comes to their hair. Like, when they're ready to change up their look or like it doesn't look good anymore, they completely like change it. But like
I think they take it very seriously.
Yeah, but like what I mean by that is like there was a point when Jungkook's hair was too long, but the hairstyle, like I wasn't ready for him to change yet. So he should have just trimmed it a little bit back to like the length that it was good, because like I think they did the Lottie family concerts again, and that length was beautiful, and that's why there's so many like fan site pictures of him just being like sexy and sweaty and long stringy hair, and it was wonderful. And then by the time they did those concerts in Saudi Arabia, it was too long, and you could see him
getting
like,
in his face.
Yeah, you could see him pulling it off all the time, and I was just like, just trim it, don't cut it off, just trim it a little bit, you don't need to grow it anymore. And he was like, no, we're done. Bzzz. I was like,
it was a sad day. Going back to our colors though, I really loved him in the Idol. It's in Idol, isn't it, when he has this color? Yeah, I loved him in the Idol music video. And I just think pink hair just suits him really, really well. Like, I mean, is yours more like a red than a pink? Because mine's more like a pink.
Mine is from when they did their concert in Seoul for the start of the Love Yourself tour.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I liked it when it was a little more red, because I just think it fits his skin tone better. Granted.
Yeah, I prefer the pink.
Yeah, like the pink. I'm also thinking of when they did the Bon Voyage and they went to Malta, and I think like he still had pink hair, because that was like just after they had filmed the Idol music video, and like and like he re-dyed half his head on that trip, right?
Yeah.
Like, I should have gotten a picture of that. Yeah, I should have picked that, because I just like that he just did it by himself in the bathroom.
Yeah, same.
Can you imagine his stylist watching in horror? Like, what is he doing?
I don't think he was allowed to do that either, if I remember rightly. I think he said something about that he was like doing it sneakily.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah. And because afterwards he was like, oh, I actually did a pretty good job. I was like, why would you do that? Yeah.
Yeah. I can't give mine up. I
can't either.
Because I like him when it's a little more red and less pink. Because red is a little more aggressive, and I think his personality, his alter ego on stage is more aggressive, and I like when his hair reflects that inner fire.
But I like when his hair reflects his like cutie, how much of a cutie he is sometimes. And like I feel like your hair is very good for like his on stage persona, and my hair is very good for his like just normal side.
For being a boyfriend? Are we having this argument again?
Not for being a boyfriend, for like his backstage antics.
Yeah.
But I think this is a difference of opinion.
I think so too.
I think we're both on a similar page. It's just we have different opinions on that page. So I'm not going to concede mine, but I won't say that you lost.
Okay. All right. We tied again.
We tied.
So
yeah.
I think the final score is you have one more than me, right?
Jin. Wait, who was first? Namjoon, I won. Jin, I won. Yoongi, you won. Hobie,
I won.
Jimin, we tied. Tae, I won, and then Jungkook, we tied. So yeah, I win by 1. Woo!
Woo! Congratulations. This was
don't be bitter.
This was a well-deserved and hard-fought victory. I will have my revenge next time we do a SmackDown.
We should start like a scoreboard, and like we're both gonna get so competitive by the end of it, where it's like just all-out war.
Just wait. We'll come up with something.
Yeah. If you have
Alrighty.
any suggestions, by the way, of like things you want us to fight over, then let us know.
Yeah, if you want to pit us against each other, we're more than happy to smack
Oblige.
each other down.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yes. Our final segment of the evening.
So, this is Army Heart BTS. And this segment is literally just a segment where we get to gush about BTS. Similar to what you were doing in your old podcast, right?
Yeah, we wanted to kind of have a segment where we just can talk about how much we love BTS, get all soft, and I thought it was a nice way for us to end the show on as well. So in the previous podcast we were going over each member. And so we're going to continue that here. It's going to be shorter than the other ones because we were doing full episodes in the previous podcast on each member, and this time it's just going to be a segment. So it is going to be smaller than the other ones for that reason. But I mean, me and Yami have discussed about maybe we can, like, if you guys end up wanting to just hear us gush about them, then we can maybe arrange a live stream that we just don't have timings on, and we can just kind of go off about everything because we have so much to say. We just want to kind of keep it in a smaller portion. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, we have done on the previous podcast, we have already done our lovely leader, President Kim Namjoon, and we have done Seok Jinhee as well. So if you want to watch those discussions, I did that on the other podcast, and you can check those out. And this week we are going to be talking about Yoongi / Lil Meow Meow / Min PD / Sugar / August D / every other nickname in the world because they all apply to him.
I wonder if he knows about these nicknames.
I have wondered as well.
Because the thing is I know, like, we talk about it a lot on English, the English side of Stan Twitter, but I don't know if he goes there, and I also don't know if they have different nicknames for him in other languages as well, or if, you know, K-armies have nicknames for him, so I'd love to find that out.
Yeah, I've always been intrigued by, like, the differences between inside jokes of, like, the I-Army side of Twitter and the K side of Twitter, and like whether they know some of our inside jokes about them, that, or if they just know the K side, or, you know, because of course they snoop around on Twitter. Like, let's be real here. Of course they snoop around on Twitter. They see our tweets, like they see our jokes, they know about it. They can't tweet about it themselves, but of course they do. Like, if I was them, I would be on Stan Twitter all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, without fail.
Granted, though, you have to be careful about that, right? Because you could be having, like, a nice, fun swipe through all these good posts, thirsty posts, like, loving posts, and then you see something negative.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, that could just ruin your mood and just hit you in a way that you don't want. And, you know, obviously, as artists, they're very sensitive, as they should be.
Yeah. And I mean, I think probably some of them are less likely to do that type of thing because they don't want to see the bad comments than others. But I mean, we all know how much hate they see online because they've talked about it in many times, and yeah, it sucks, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's why everybody always jokes that they probably have Stan accounts, though, because then you could just so, you know, follow a bunch of people that you know will only give you positive stuff, and then you're insulated from all the negative stuff.
That is true, yeah. But anyway,
though, we just went on a tangent.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of changing the screen any more than I have to in case everything breaks again.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so we will be talking about Yoongi, and I just love him so much. Like, he makes me so soft. I just can't.
I want to hug him. Actually, I want to hold his hand.
Oh my god, I want to hold his hand so bad.
Every time I look at him, I think of the Beatles song, like, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Oh, like you know the way on the James Corden show how James Corden like held his hand and then put his other hand on top of his hand.
Yes.
That's what I want to do, and I want to do that forever and never use
I'm
my hands for anything else again.
I'm so jealous of James Corden for being able to do that.
And his little face, he looked so happy.
I was watching that as it aired, and I was just screaming. I was like, he held his hand! And same thing for Tay. Tay's hand also got held, and he was just led away, and he was like, okay, off I go.
Oh, did you hear his little, like, squeal of excitement? It was so adorable.
Yes. We're on the tangent again. We didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, but I just need to say this.
Go for it.
I love how Tay and Yoongi always hold hands now to resolve their conflicts. It's so sweet. And like in the winter package where they were just sitting at the back of the bus holding each other's hands when they were on their way to their like tour around the city that they were doing.
I didn't notice that. I'm gonna have to go rewatch that.
I'm gonna send you so many things tonight because that was like the cutest scene. It was my favorite scene from the whole of winter package.
I liked when they this is a tangent again, but I liked when they like finally got a chance to be outside in the city all together, and they were just like in that like empty square under the lights, and they were just, it was beautiful, and they were also just like screwing around, and it just, I just loved it because you could feel the camaraderie where they were just like, woohoo, we're finally outside and it's not raining, this is a pretty city, and they were just doing nothing.
Yeah, it was so great.
I'm like, that's what I would do with my friends, and that's what I have done. And I'm like, I could be their friend. I just want to be their friend.
Do you ever just sit there and think about like how good friends you would be if you were friends with BTS, and like how much you would get on? And like we'll do this another day where we talk about what we would do if we had a day to spend with each member. That'd be fun.
Yeah. That's in our banks of things that we can do in the fun time section.
It is. Okay,
all right, so back to Yoongi again. Do you want to start us out?
Okay, so I think we should probably do this just by like bringing up a point and then just talking about it. So okay. I just noted down some of my like favorite things about him, things I admire about him, things I like about him. And so the first point that I had is that I admire him so much because of the sacrifices that he made to follow his dreams. And like when you really think about it, like he took so many risks, and he like was working part-time whilst following this career path, and like he decided to be in the front in the actual group rather than just being a songwriter or a producer. So he became an idol when he was initially into the pop scene, and like he had his shoulder accident and he continued like training and doing all of these things. And I just think that like he's able to just do whatever it takes to follow his dreams and to do music. And I actually went back and listened to August D when I was researching for him. And in one of the songs, he's talking a lot about how he just wanted to make money at that point because that was all he could think about. And he wanted to be number one and he wanted to be at the top. And I just really respect how much it was just everything. He was giving it everything he had, no matter what he had to change, no matter what he had to give up, no matter how hard he had to work. Like he was saying, I would go to school and I would just fall asleep because I'd been working and then I'd been practicing and then I'd have to go to school. And yeah, so that's my first point.
Yeah. That's a very good point to bring up because that was my first point as well. Okay. I went back and I watched a bunch of like his old interviews and vlogs where he just talked about like his own history. And the thing that I just got from all of that was that he's used he knew what the hustle was and he just did it. He was a very, and still is, a very scrappy person. Where, you know, like, I listened to him talk about how, like, he knew early on that he wanted to pursue music because he thought he was an average student, and he wouldn't, you know, like, get high enough scores to become, like, a big civilian worker or businessman the way his parents wanted, right? You know, like, that is supposedly, like, the Korean parents' dream, that your children study hard, get good grades, get good exam scores, and then go to the best university there is, and then actually land a job, a cushy job as a civilian worker. And, you know, the thing is Yoongi was just very honest with himself. He's like, I don't have a high likelihood of doing that. Plus, I just like to make music. Yeah. And so he ignored his parents and started to make music and try to sell it. And he just never had enough money. He couldn't make enough money between, like, you know, like the infamous story of him not having enough money to eat and take the bus. Yeah. And he would always get ripped off for his music. Like, he'd make it and send it to people and they wouldn't pay him for it.
Just to talk about one of the August D songs that I was listening to. It's one of my favorite parts is when he says that he's going to school and people are talking about how they spent 7 times his his budget that he had to live on alcohol alone, and then were complaining about how they had no money, and he's just like, shut the fuck up. And that is relatable.
It is. And it's just like, you can just, I think that he, out of all of them, he communicates the best through his music. Like, he may not be good at expressing himself in person. He's a very usually introspective and reticent person, but when it comes to his lyrics and his music, he spends time to communicate the way he wants to, and that's why you find out so much about him through his music, through his mixtape, like you're just talking about. And through all of that, I just get this, like, sense of inner rage at, like, all of this injustice and unfairness that he grew up seeing and dealing with. And, you know,
and I think it's very much a product of his environment, and it's very normal for somebody in that position to just be so angry. And, like, again, I'm talking about it because I listened to it today, but he says in his lyrics, like, the world's not fair. It's just not fair. And I get angry about it, basically. Like, I feel like he is able to just take all of those feelings that are just building inside of him and just put it in his music. And that's why it just hits you so hard, because it's his soul. Like, it's everything he wants to say and how much he's experienced and how much he hates all of the things that he thinks are wrong about the world.
And I agree with that completely. I think his outlet, it has always been music, and maybe it wasn't supposed to be along the way, but, like, ooh, nice color there.
Ooh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm distracted by this Yoongi slideshow.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, look at the gummy smile. So cute.
What was I saying? I think because of all of the hardships that he went through, he's very protective of other people who are going through it with him. And I'm speaking from, like, I have 3 examples of this. One being that, so, like, from what I watched through of his interviews, you know, he talked about how he tried for a long time to make it musically in Daegu, where he had his crew, or his underground hip-hop group, Daegu Town, and he was just trying so hard to become successful there, and it wasn't working, and that's why he came to Seoul, and his intentions had been to be a producer. And so that's why he did all these rap battles and auditions trying to prove himself musically so that he could be taken on as a producer. And then somehow, you know, Big Hits, you know, he stumbled upon Big Hit, and, you know, they said, why don't you be part of this group? It'll be a hip-hop group. No dancing.
No dancing.
Yeah, and he's like, sure. And then along the way, the concept changed, and he became more of the idol model of doing things. And I watched this one interview where he's just like, I used to think like, you know, just have like, okay, being an idol is being an idol. And only after doing it did I realize how hard it was. And it's, and he even compared it to the struggles he had in Daegu. And he's like, this is so much harder. And I think that those kinds of comments was him and he just said like, I can't imagine how all these other idols do it. And I'm like, he defends people who are misunderstood. Another
like,
example.
Sorry, I wanted to just add an example whilst it's on my mind.
Go for it.
I have two, but I'll make them really quick. The first one is when he talks about ARMY and when he says...
Literally was about to say that at the UN, like the UN.
Oh, really? Bomb. Yeah, okay, you explain it.
Yeah, where they're all sitting at the table, like preparing to go to the UN, and he's just like, it is not easy to be a fan of idols, to be a fan of K-pop. You get ridiculed, like these people get ridiculed all the time for simply liking something. How are you supposed to overcome that? You know, like we're not allowed to just be. Everybody wants to make fun of us.
Yeah, it's true.
And you saw how much that meant to everyone, that like that he acknowledged that he understands that this happens and he admires the fact that we like them and support them anyway. That was
because
big.
That's not something that ever gets talked about by the artists themselves. And it was just so touching that he brought that up, that he is aware of the hardships that we face, like, and he's supportive of that, and he defends everybody. Like, he's just like, oh, you feel misunderstood and the world isn't treating you right. Well, I've got something to say about that.
Yeah, and then the other point, which I'm sure you're about to make as well, is that he uses his platform to talk about his mental health struggles. And he's literally said...
And not just that. It's not just that. Like, it's not just mental health, but it's just a wide variety of issues and feelings. And so, like, he talks about... I'm trying to find where I've written this down, because I had... like, his mental health, the struggles of being famous, like having hopes and dreams, and like things like that, and people who are hateful, and like the underground hip hop scene. Like, he just is able to just talk about things with no filter. Yeah.
And the thing is I don't know if it's filter. So when I mentioned before about him realizing that he's like, I'm not going to do well in school and I'm not going to have a high likelihood of being successful in the traditional route, I think that was him being just honest with himself. And I think that is a very difficult thing to do, because we all want to see ourselves in the best light possible and don't like to admit when we have weaknesses or flaws. And the fact that from the beginning he could just be very real with himself and say, this is who I am and this is what I have, also applies to how he makes music, right? Because we talked about how the music he makes is very raw, it's very honest, it's very sincere, and it tugs at you emotionally, because he's confronting himself and expressing things that for most of us, even by ourselves, we don't like to think about. We don't want to accept as a real thing.
I want to give a couple of examples of that I can think of off the top of my head. And so the first, I was talking about Yoongi with a lovely ARMY who messaged me, and I mentioned to her that one of my all-time favorite quotes from Yoongi is, moss surely grows on a stone that doesn't roll. And then like it goes on to say things like, if you think you're going to crash, then accelerate more, you idiot. Like, it's from Nevermind, which is one of my favorite songs of his. And the reason I love that so much is because, like, it's what I need sometimes to be like, right, you're feeling unhappy, okay, but what are you doing about it? You're sitting there and you're moping and you're not doing anything. So you're actually making yourself even more unhappy, and then you're blaming everything else. So take a look at yourself and realize that it's actually you who's causing this. Get yourself together and just try again and keep going. And that type of tough love is so needed sometimes, like for me, definitely. And I literally have that quote written on like a letter that I read because I have a letter to myself when I'm feeling like just really defeated, and I just read it, and it like gets me back to being motivated again.
Which quote?
Moss surely grows on a stone that doesn't roll.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's just, and he does the same thing with like Shadow, for example, like when he's having that conversation with himself, and it's like, didn't you want this? You wanted all this. Why are you moaning about it? Like, you have to accept it. Just deal with it. Like, I really like that way of looking at things. And he's not only like that because he's very compassionate and like patient and understanding at the same time. But I think you need both.
I agree. And I think I mean, so many times his manner gets misconstrued as he's just savage. And it's like,
yes.
yeah, he is, you can say, yeah, he's savage, but he's savage with a purpose. Like, he likes to be blunt and be honest with himself and with others. And it's like,
there's no putting a pretty ribbon on it to help people's feelings, because sometimes that is just the last thing you need.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly how he thinks. And and I also like that that's also how he jokes. Like, a lot of the time his jokes are just very blunt, like or he's not afraid to be in the background of like one of their, you know, Bang 10 bombs or whatever, just being unimpressed with whatever's going on. And you're
when
like,
he's drinking wine, when the rest of them are playing by the pool and he's just in the background with a glass of wine, like, I don't care.
or just he's like, I'm gonna watch you from afar, you go be an idiot, I'm just gonna be here.
Or it's like you haven't watched it yet, but I didn't pick up on it on the first time, so I don't think it will be a spoiler, but when they're rehearsing for the MMA on the recent episode, the rest of the members are like talking and joking around, and you just see him in the corner on his phone, like a bit far away from everybody else.
I love that honesty, because it's very hard. Like, if you're a person who, you know, you're in a social setting and you're just like, I'm tired, I need to go recharge my batteries, it's kind of hard to excuse yourself from everyone to do that, because it just comes across as rude. And in the background, Yoongi doesn't care. He's just like, I need this break.
And he, I think with him, what makes him like that is just his experience. And he said before, it was in a jokey way, but he said something along the lines of, oh, I just know how to live in this cruel world. And it very much is that. Like, when you experience things, sometimes the way you go about dealing with it is just like, I just know how things are. I know what the reality is. There's no time to just beat around the bush. Let's just take it for what it is. Like, he has no rose-tinted glasses on when it comes to anything.
Yeah, and I think that is incredibly just brave, and also it just speaks to his strength of character, and I very much admire it. I also very much relate to it, because I tend to be very blunt.
I mean, yeah, I think it's very relatable, and again, like, this is often misconstrued as just savage for being savage. Whereas it's not that. No. I think there's a lot more meaning to his savagery. I think he is savage as hell, and I love it. But there's always meaning for his savagery.
Yes. He doesn't do it just to be mean. He does it to prove a point.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, like, whether he's calling out, like, the idols, whether he's calling out the hip-hop, like, community, whether he's calling out haters, whether he's calling out like people's attitudes towards mental health, blah 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 blah, I could go on. Like, he's always doing it for a purpose, because he doesn't think it's fair, and he wants that to change, and sometimes he just wants to prove a point, which is great.
Yeah, or he just wants to be funny, and his comedic timing is always really good.
You know, the thing about Yoongi is he has such British humor. Like, honestly, really? Our favorite form of humor here is sarcasm, witty comments, and just like being like, the one that it makes me think of is when JK and Jim, and I think it is, are like, oh, is that a real camel? And he's like, does that look like a human to you? Like, that is so British. Like, we do that so much, and it's one of my favorite brands of humor. So I find him hilarious.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really. You're right. That is British humor, from what I know. That's awesome. Though.
Yeah, I love it. So one thing I wanted to go into from this point itself is his vulnerability and his inspirational side. So like, I think they're two sides of the same coin. Like, we have him delivering his messages in a blunt and honest way, but I also think he has like, and really, he's a nurturer. I feel like he nurtures those around him as well as, so like, he has both sides, whereas on one side it's like the sharp end of the knife, but then on the other it's the blunt end, and it's the I'm just going to comfort and heal you kind of side.
With the handle of the knife.
Exactly.
Very comforting. No, I agree completely. I just wanted to say, I think because of all the hardships he's had and all the difficult things that he's struggled through, he has a lot of empathy for people who are going through that kind of thing. And because he himself felt that it was unfair and that he couldn't be heard when he was in the middle of all of those things, he wants to give a voice to people who are still in that right now. And I would characterize the way he loves is in this very quiet, fierce way. And he's not, he doesn't like to say I love you, apparently. I don't know if that's changed recently, but you know, he's always been very like reticent to say it. But and I think maybe it's partially because maybe his struggles have made him more guarded with his expressions, more private about his pain and his feelings. So, but just the way he is.
I think the way he sees it is that, like, I can say anything to you that I want. It doesn't mean anything. What's going to prove it is my actions. So, like, you can say all you want to somebody to their face, but you can mean the complete opposite in your brain. Your actions are what determine how you feel about somebody. So rather than like feeling the need to express love in words, it's more with his little actions.
So his love language is doing things.
Yeah, I would say so. And just things like cooking for people, or, you know, giving somebody advice on something, or always being there to help with something, or just things like that. Like, I feel like he's the type of person who, if you had an argument with, he wouldn't apologize. He would just buy your favorite takeaway and come and knock on your door. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd hope
and
he
then
would
like
apologize.
It would just be forgotten. No, I don't think he would. Like, I feel like his way of apologizing would be, okay, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna like give you something nice, and you'll know I'm apologizing without me having to apologize.
Aww. and then he'd probably ask to hold your hand.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me something else.
So just quickly about his vulnerability. Was just how his V lives and his interactions with armies always tend to be him just giving advice and trying to comfort everybody, and like answering people's questions, and like they always somehow turn into like counseling with Yoongi.
Yeah. But doesn't that go along with what you just said? That's his way of giving back his love.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so what else do you have? I know. Him. I love him.
The more we talk about him, the more I love him. Okay, let me change this up, and I want to talk about his talents, because I think he is very talented. I love the running gag that, you know, he calls himself a genius. His studio is called Genius Labs, and I love that he just is so confident about all of that. But
Yeah, he's like, I own it. I'm a genius.
yeah. But like specifically his love for the piano and his ability to play, I think is phenomenal. I love it so much.
And the way he creates music, like when you see his screens and like all of the equipment that he has and everything like that, it blows my mind. And
He's
the
so
amount that
funny.
he does it.
With his obsession with like little gadgets, and whenever
Yeah.
they go somewhere new, he's like, can I get some new equipment?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, you know, like they showed all those things, like they were in New York, and he like went to the store to buy stuff. I'm like,
Yes.
well, now who's in charge of shipping that around with you? You still have to be on tour. Or
Yeah, and
like,
he
did
just
you have
gets so
room in your
excited.
suitcase? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But like, so there's like a short clip somewhere of him playing the piano version of I Need You. I love that so much, and I haven't
Me
found
too.
like there's no full version of it, right?
No, because it was an advert, I think.
I want it. Like I really badly want it. I feel so much of him in that music, and I think it's such a beautiful arrangement. I want it, and
And
I also want the piano score so I can learn how to play it on the piano, because I would just die.
do you remember that time as well when JK went into his studio and was like filming him and he just started playing the piano and JK was like, "Oh, is that freestyle?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's freestyle." I can literally hear it in my head, the thing that he played, and it was just so full of emotion, and I can't explain with words very well what his music is, but there it's like it has a soul of its own. Like it radiates emotion in the way the notes are put together,
Yes.
and when he raps, in the way that he delivers his vocals, and just everything about it. It's like he creates a living thing and like gives it to you.
Yeah, and you know
It's
why?
amazing.
I think the reason he is so good at expressing himself through music is because in all of the struggles and all the things that he went through, it feels like music was his only outlet.
Yes.
So he honed his ability to express himself through just the music he makes, and that's why I think when we listen to his stuff, it's so poignant and we react to it so strongly.
Yeah, and I think like when I first heard First Love, that song made me cry so much because it was so
Really?
relatable, and yeah, like I couldn't stop crying because it it reminded me a lot of like how when you feel alone and you just have that one thing, and as a musician myself, I felt the same way when you had no one but you had music, and I just felt it so powerfully through his tone and the way he structured that piece of music, and it's one of my favorites of his. But I mean, I love all of his music a lot. I can't wait for his new mixtape. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah. I have a confession about that song, First Love. I
Mm-hmm.
did not like it in the beginning because I didn't like when I looked up the lyrics, I didn't like how it made me feel, because I also play the piano nowhere near as good as he does. But for many years, it was like a very big part of my life, and I didn't like that he was poking at that feeling of like, hey, I gave this up. Like you were like my first love. I was obsessed with the piano, and like now I don't do it as much anymore. And I'm like, stop. I feel personally attacked, and I don't like how honest and painful this song is. So for a very long time, I couldn't listen to that song.
I think that makes a lot of sense, honestly. And I think the reason I enjoyed it so much and it spoke to me so much is because when I first heard it, I'd been through a period of about 4 years before I found BTS where I couldn't listen to music. And like I went through a really hard time, and then I just couldn't listen to music. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't listen to it. And music had been my whole life. But it just had become something which made me feel too many things that I didn't want to feel.
For
And
4
then
years?
I rediscovered, yeah, it was
Wow.
bad.
Wow.
Yeah. But I rediscovered music when I found BTS, and I rediscovered my love for it, and I started playing my instruments again, and I started writing again, and then I heard First Love. And the thing I love about it so much is that he's saying that, like, you were everything to me, and you were my best friend, and you were beside me through everything, and then I gave you up because I couldn't deal with it anymore. And then I came back to you, and you re-embraced me like no time had passed. And I had the exact same experience, which is why I think it hit me on such a personal level, and why I just love it so much. But yeah, that was a tangent.
Yeah, well, I'm not switching screens. I don't want this to break. We've been doing good for like an hour now.
But I think the thing you should take from it is that he says that the piano is saying, don't worry about me, like, you do your thing, and if you ever want to come back to me, I'm here. So there you go.
Yeah. I don't like that he's so deep. It's so painful.
It is so painful. Like, it forces you to, like, I don't know about you, but like when I'm feeling bad, I'll just shut off my emotions and not want to feel anything. But his music is the type of music that's like, no, you're gonna feel something. I'm gonna rip you apart, and then I'm gonna slowly put you back together. So
you're
just
gonna
deal
learn
with it.
from this. So enjoy it and find a solution. You're like, okay.
Yeah. But it works. It works every time. And then he has songs like Sugar's Interlude, and, you know, those ones that are just like like the stars you asked for are only bright in the darkest of nights, and just
so
all those
poetic.
things.
Where does he get off being so poetic?
I know, and it's just so like his lyrics are so inspiring and just motivational. Yeah, his music is phenomenal, and his producing as well. His producing is fantastic. I adore the song he wrote for, is it Hazy? Is that how you pronounce it? Or is it Highs?
Highs? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I absolutely adore that song, and I just love his beats that he makes. They're great.
Yeah. I still think about that one time on that one random like variety show where they went on, where he tried to give the hosts his like a beat, a song that he had produced, and they just shit all over it and wouldn't take it, and like humiliated him on that show.
I don't know about this.
Oh, it's painful. I don't if you want to hurt. It's that one Korean show. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like two guys who lead it.
I know what you're talking about. I specifically didn't watch it because I heard how horrible they were to Yoongi, and I didn't want to.
Yeah, and like that was the thing, right? Where like in the beginning, no one liked BTS.
Yeah.
Predominantly didn't like them in Korea and ridiculed them. And so I think that was the idea of like, well, let's have this group come on the show and we'll make fun of them, and everybody at home can laugh with us about how ridiculous they are.
Yeah.
And everybody forgot that these were young men in their formative years who were inexperienced in the industry and were being torn apart and abused by these adults and being and kind of like dehumanized. And I just remember Yoongi tried, he's like, hey, I brought this beat, I wanted to give it to you as a gift, and they played it for the two guys, and the guys were like, this isn't really my thing. You really want to give this to me? Like, where would we fit this in with our music? And Yoongi's just like, just have it, it's for you. And he was trying to like be very nice about it, and they were like, no, and they just shat all over it. And now he is a performer on the world stage, and everybody wants to produce with him. Do you know how
angry that makes me? Honestly, like, that makes me want to go kill someone.
Preferably those two people.
Yeah, really. Like, I'm not even kidding. I just felt such a burning rage come over me when you were telling me that story, and that is precisely why I haven't watched that show.
Sorry, I made you live it. Sorry. But like,
anyway.
But you know that feeling, I think you and I have talked about this before. I think Yoongi has an inner rage at all of these things that have happened to him, that he had to suffer through, that he had to, and a lot of times he had to have a nice face on, even if internally he just wanted to, you know, scream and rage and break things. And that's why I think he's so guarded with the rest of his emotions and finds it so difficult to express himself just, you know, between person to person, and finds it so much easier to do through music. And
I also think, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, and the other thing is I think that's why he has such a hunger and greed for success, because when you get shit on so much, of course you want to prove everyone wrong, especially when you know you are that good. And that's why I think, like, you know, he says it all the time. He sang about it and rapped about it in Shadow, that, like, he has this hunger, this drive, and he's greedy. He wants it all. He wants to be absolutely the best, so that there's absolutely no dispute. But even as he tries to accomplish all of that, it's never enough, right? It's a toxic mindset, even that, though at the same time it's so empowering to know that you are so good and so successful that nobody can prove you wrong.
Sometimes it gets to the point, if you have that drive, and I can be like that too sometimes, where it just takes over your life and you don't even feel human anymore, because all you can think about is that rage and that need to win and to prove everybody wrong. And when that happens, like, you catch yourself all of a sudden and you're like, I don't even know who I am right now. Like, this isn't even me anymore. I'm just this walking, talking, like, machine who's just trying to win and demolish everything. And you can tell that he has a hard time between these different sides of himself. But what I was going to say is that I think that's also why he created August D, as another side of him that can represent his inner rage and his turmoil and all of these big emotions that he doesn't know how to control.
I have a comment on that. Kind of a tangent. But have you noticed that he places a lot of significance on names? You know, like, I love that. Like, his own name, Suga. You know, it's supposed to be short for shooting guard, because that was the position he played in basketball. And basketball has an incredibly large meaning for him in his life and his identity. And he took that and made that his, you know, stage persona for BTS, and then and then August D is the flip side of that, plus his roots, you know, the Daegu town is the DT, and I just love that he took the time to make sure that his identity was in the name. Like, you know, like, there's always I think a lot, like, every culture has like folk tales and fairy tales about, like, how important the name of something is. And I subscribe to that as well. I think the name of things is very, very important. And I love that, these are just two examples. I wish I had more. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. Can you, like, any other way?
Well, he talks about how he separates Min Yoongi, and he hardly ever calls himself Yoongi when he's on camera. Like, he is very much, I'm in sugar mode right now, or I'm in Yoongi mode when I'm at home and I'm away from everything, or I'm in August D mode when I want to get all of my emotions out. Like, I think he very much is, like, able to separate these different portions of him in order to be kind of, like, at whole. Because I think when you have all of these different thoughts and feelings whirring around your brain at all times, it becomes hard and you become disjointed because it's too many opposing things going on. But I think he is very, very good at like separating them and being able to cope because of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the only way that might help at this point. They talked about it, right? Yeah. In one of their I think
it was in Festa
from 2018, I think, where they were at the dinner party, and they were like, how do you separate who you are in your career from who you actually are, and how do you keep one from consuming the other? And both he and Namjoon talked about it, and I just thought it was so very important because mentally, right? You hear about all these celebrities who, especially child stars, you know, who grow up famous and grow up in the spotlight, and they just kind of lose it because they can't handle the box that they've been put in, the parameters that have been placed upon their identity, and they need to act out. They need for it to end.
Yeah, and they have too many opposing feelings. It's like, I'm trying to be one thing, but then all of these other sides are fighting back. And the only way, really, for you to be able to resolve that is by changing how you look at it, changing your perspective. So, for example, when you're feeling all of these warring emotions inside and you have all these different sides to you, because like they've said many times, you're not just one thing, like that is you trying to then go about your daily life in one of them becomes like trying to answer an unanswerable question. But then if you change your perspective and say, well, in this scenario, this version of me is right, and in this scenario, this version of me is right, so there can be multiple different versions of me, then you're much more able to handle all of them at once, and it's just changing your perspective.
Agreed completely. I also like see it as like, you know, you might think you look the best in a ball gown, like that is the most tricked out you can look, but you wouldn't wear a ball gown to the gym. Like, that would be completely impractical. You would still look amazing on that treadmill, but you'd probably also trip and then hit the wall behind you.
And it's like what type of music you listen to, depending on what scenario you're in. Like, you're not going to listen to a ballad when you're on a run. Like, you can change depending on each scenario. But anyway, we've just gone on a massive tangent. But I think that...
It's still related.
I think that this is something that I have learned.
I love this picture, by the way. This one that keeps cycling through.
Yeah, it's so good.
Keep going,
so before we move away from his talents, just a quick pointer. I love how much focus he's been putting on trying to like improve various things right now. Like, he's said he's been having singing lessons, and he's been working on his dancing, and he's been learning English more. And I've just noticed that like he's really trying to hone all of these different skills, which is amazing. And it's really paying off as well. Like, he was amazing in this comeback with his dancing, and like his vocals in Shadow sounded amazing. And I'm really proud.
I love Shadow. You're right, because Shadow is such an experimental song. He really stretched himself and tried all these new different things, and I love it. It's just, I'm so proud of his growth. And the fact that he also sings now. Yes, please.
Like, if you want my full opinion on this, please go and listen to me talk about Shadow, because I go off about it for a long time, because it's probably I think it's the best song musically on the album, in my opinion. It's just a work of art. Anyway.
Okay, so it said you wanted to talk about something besides talents, right?
Yes, so I wanted to talk about let me find which thing it was. Excuse my yawn.
While you're looking for that, I just want to make a quick comment. I was like watching Yoongi videos on YouTube, and one of them like had a comment that said, when Yoongi runs, he looks like an old man running back to his house because he forgot his casseroles in the oven.
I actually think that Yoongi is an old man in a young person's body, and this links to my point. So his like little interests and things that he finds enjoyable, like architecture and interior design and putting things together, and like he's a handyman, and I just feel like all of these things that he enjoys doing are so adorable. And like, he's so knowledgeable. Like, he's the trivia king. Like, he always talks about how, like, he'll bring up a random fact about like World War II or something. And
yes,
you're like, how do you
like
know that?
The behind the scenes from one of their comeback shows where he taught everyone about, I don't even remember what it was.
It was a wall of some kind.
Yeah. And it was like, this is a useless, if someone is talking about this, it means it's useless or something, right?
And he,
I don't remember.
like on Weverse as well, he said something about, like he'll always correct people. So somebody will say, oh, this is this. And then he comes out with his like big fancy scientific words and he's like, well, actually. And how they always make fun of him for being like, back in my day, or like his way of viewing his age is just hilarious.
Yeah, I agree. I just think he's also very smart. Like, he's very curious about the world, and I think it maybe comes from a sense of just wanting to know everything that's out there. You know what? This is what I wanted to say. Like the times when they talk about, or like even when he talks about in their like documentaries saying like, this is really hard, but I know it's not going to last forever. So every time I want to give up and give in, I don't, because I know this is the last little bit I get before something else happens and I can't do this anymore. And I think along that same thread, he wants to learn everything about the world that he can while he can. Like he's a very YOLO person.
Yeah, definitely. But very much in a down-to-earth way. Like, I'm going to try all the things, but like if it's stupid, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, agreed.
So we're going to have to push this along. So what I think we should do for this last however long we have is just to say things off the top of our heads, just without a big discussion about it, about what we like about him. So
okay.
I'll start. I love his speaking voice so much. It's so great. Like, I could listen to him talk for hours. It would soothe me to sleep. It's like deep and raspy, and how he always does those like between, and he makes those little like purring noises that he does. He's like always. Yes, agreed. I love it.
Agree 100%. I love his relationship with Hobie. Soap is one of my favorite things, because I think it's one of those times when Yoongi publicly admits that he has a weakness, that he needs more energy, and he's like, where is J-Hope? Where's Hobie? I need energy. Like that time they recorded third muster, something like that. And then I also like that just when he's with Hobie, he feels more free to be just like silly and goofy and out there, and it makes for some really funny, stupid moments that are really entertaining to watch.
Honestly, I'm going to quickly just very briefly talk over each of his relationships with the members, because I actually love him with all of them in different ways. So like with Jin, I love how they're just so comfortable around one another. It's just like they could probably sit on opposite ends of the room and feel happy.
They're also very sassy and like snide together, and it's so satisfying.
And then with Namjoon, I just love how much respect they have for each other. But
love that
they
song.
literally, so good. I just feel like they are very much on the same page, and in terms of music creators, I feel like they just bounce off of each other and just are so proud of each other for where they came and where they are now, which I love about them. And then I'm gonna just bracket the Maknae line just together for convenience. But I love his relationship with the Maknae line so much. He's literally like a father figure to them. It's adorable.
And it's his desire to be protective. I think he is very fiercely loyal. Like, he's very loyal to the people he cares about, to his family, to, his second family of BTS, and to ARMY. He defends us all the time.
Like, you don't get let in easily. His affection is hard to earn, but once you've earned it, he will literally like fight to the death for you.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, so another thing I like about him, I love his gummy smile. It's so cute. Every time I see it, and his little cheeks, like his cheekies, like you know that scene when he's got that helmet on and his cheeks are like this, and he's smiling, and it's so cute.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but you are very cute right now.
I will send you that picture as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he is probably the most adorable member. I'm gonna put it out there. In my opinion, he's the one that makes me like, oh, the most. Which is funny considering. Like, I also have a lot of respect for him in terms of his like personality and his confidence and like how hardcore he is and how like down to earth he is. But I also just think he's the most adorable thing ever. How he likes his handheld, how he's just like
I
he has
can't
his
get over the
smile that
hand
comes
holding.
out.
Like of all
Same.
the things that like, hey, describe this person. He loves holding hands and always thinks that people are trying to hold his hand when they're reaching for the mic, reaching for a water bottle. And I'm just like, why is that your go-to thing? Like, oh, there's a hand moving towards me. They must want to hold mine. Like, I love that. Like,
Oh my god, it's so adorable. And just moving on from this point, like I just love how when he's in the mood, he just is so silly and playful, and like the little dance he does, his happy dance, you know, this one that he does when he's like happy, and how he makes that little like kind of noise. And he's just, when he's feeling positive and feeling bright, he's so playful, and it's so cute and adorable. And I also think that he seems so much happier lately, and I don't know how to I don't know how to describe it except from like I wrote it down in my notes that like when I looked at him before, I just felt so much tension from him, and I feel like it's just gone now. He just seems so much more relaxed and just at peace, and it makes me so happy. Like him on Bon Voyage, the season 4, he just seemed so just at
relaxed.
Ease. Yeah.
I think he came to some personal conclusion. I had some kind of perspective shift. It's something internal that made him feel better. And you know, that stuff is visible. You can tell when someone's struggling with something, and you can also tell when someone is feeling better and freer and just being sillier and goofier. Yeah. You can just see it.
I think
you might not know the details, but you see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think my guess would probably be, and this is just completely my idea, so don't take this as fact, but I feel like he's just come to terms with the fact that there are good and bad things to everything. Like, I mean, I think it's through this album, and I've talked before about how I feel like this album was probably so good for them to just revisit the wounds and see how you can have both light and dark, both good and bad, and that rather than pushing it away or trying to fight against it, to just accept it. And I feel like if I was to guess, it would probably be something like that I feel like has changed. Like, it's not a fight anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a guess.
No, I agree. I think that is a very therapeutic exercise. I think they achieved so much personally through Map of the Soul 7. And
I agree.
I wish circumstances were different and we could see more of that. But we will. It's not the end. And when things are better, we're going to have a reunion the likes of which history has never seen between ARMY and BTS. I know it. I feel it. Can you
imagine the feeling just that will be floating in the air during those concerts? Just how everybody's pure and complete joy and love will just combine and just explode. Maybe it will be like the thing that heals the entire earth, and like from the concert you'll just like see like crops start to bloom and...
like in the music video, like an on.
Yes exactly, like
just outside of the stadium. And everybody walks out And they're like, where's my car? I can't
And then
find it.
climate change is fixed, diseases start being cured. I'm putting it out there. This tour is going to heal the world.
Yes, I fully support this.
Okay, yeah. So I think there's not anything specific that I want to add. I think I'm probably forgetting things, but
I think
that's
we've
it for now.
reached. You know how we said we would only talk about this for half an hour? It's been over an hour.
We're gonna probably we're like, oh yeah, we want to cut everything down so it's 2 hours, and now it's probably gonna be even longer than the normal episodes. So
Well,
well.
listen, this is pre-recorded, so no one has to worry about watching us live. So you guys at home can literally pause this whenever you need to go do something else and come back and finish watching later. We'll still be talking about BTS ad nauseum forever.
Yeah, forever. It will just keep going. We're never going to turn this off. We're just going to be sitting here waiting for you every time you want to come back.
And I know when this, hopefully, if I figure out how to do it, we will set this to premiere. So the people who will be watching this live will be like, when is this ending? Still going.
Yeah, we will be in the comments. So by the time you're watching this, you'll have been talking to us for 20 hours, because that's how long we can talk.
And also because that's how long it took to film this.
Oh God, yeah, literally. So just one last thing about Yoongi before we say our goodbyes, and that is that I had a lovely message from a dear ARMY this week. If you watched Gino's live, you probably, have heard about her by now, but her childhood cat that she'd had for a long time passed away, and she was going through a hard time, and so everybody send her your love. But she messaged me to write about Yoongi to kind of distract herself from what was going on, and because he's her bias, and she said that he helped her a lot, and she sent me a beautiful, lovely paragraph, and I told her that was amazing, and I almost cried, but I can't read the whole thing when
I want to hear
present
it.
this. I can't read the whole thing, it's too long, plus I haven't asked her permission for me to, and it's quite personal, so I wouldn't want to do that anyway.
Makes sense.
But I did ask her to send me a sentence that I could read out, and she said it was very difficult, but she put together a lovely sentence for me, and I am going to read it now. So she said, "For me, he is a shelter from the storm, a lighthouse guiding me on my path to find inner peace, a calming presence when I feel like I'm drowning in self-doubt, a boost of energy when I feel like giving up, and a constant reminder that it's okay to feel sad, lost, or lonely sometimes, but I need to keep going, because even baby steps will surely lead me to somewhere someday."
That's beautiful. Oh my God. She's a poet.
I know.
That's so
it was
beautiful.
so beautiful. I told you, I had tears in my eyes, and I am with you, and thank you so much for messaging me. And honestly, if anybody ever wants to message me about BTS, my DMs are open. So yes.
That is
Thank you
amazing.
again.
Love it.
Yeah. I really hope, and I'm pretty sure they do, but I really hope that they know how much they help and heal people, and how deep it is, I was saying to her when I was talking to her, that we're also kind of making their dreams come true in a way that's more than just results, because especially for Yoongi, he's always talked about how all he wants to do is just to help and heal people with his music. And by us feeling this way about them, we are making their dreams a reality. And I just think that's beautiful. So, yeah.
I think it is. I think it's also just a sign of how incredible the human connection is. And when you have people who can create a bond together.
Yeah.
And it's not just us and BTS, it's ARMYs together with each other. I don't know any other instance in my life where this has ever happened, for myself, for others. Like we just happen to be so lucky to exist at this moment in time where technology connects us around the world, and their music, their struggles, their life and soul that they put into the music they make transcends cultural barriers, language barriers, and every other possible thing that could get in the way and that used to get in the way in history. For us, it doesn't
And you know,
exist.
I was talking earlier, and I'm a big believer in a higher purpose, and not that I think there's a specific or what it is. I don't know. I don't know what happens, whether it's the universe, whether it's something bigger, whether it's what. I'm just a big believer that things happen for a reason, and that things were meant to be a certain way. I think there's a big part which plays into individual choices and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into my big theory. But what I think is beautiful is that, in a sense, we were all chosen to be part of this big family. And it's just something that I think about all the time, and how I've met the people I've met, and immediately it's just a connection, and it's like you've known them forever. Like with us, for example.
Yeah, you mean how I didn't want to watch your podcast, and then Gina was like, please go watch it. We've made 2 episodes now. Please someone go watch it. And I went and watched it and immediately fell in love with you and was like, we need to be friends. I just connected with you. And you know why? Because of BTS. If BTS had not been involved, there would have been no reason for Gino's channel to exist, for Bangtan Collective to exist, for you and I to connect. Like
for us to be here now, and for you to be watching this at home. And isn't it just phenomenal when you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. BTS make the world go round.
They do. I told you, they're going to save the world. Like, ARMYs and BTS are literally going to save the world.
Yep.
I'm convinced.
Yep. If you want something done, do it yourself.
So that ends our episode on such a lovely note, actually. I think we gushed a very appropriate amount, and I'm feeling a bit emotional now, so we should probably end here.
Once we edit all this together, is probably going to be like 6 hours long. That's fine.
I know.
For those of you watching who've been with us this entire time, thank you.
Yeah, I can't believe we got here to the end. I mean, we said that we wanted this to be like one of our phone calls that we have where it's just us talking like friends, but I mean, I didn't think it would go this far. We tend to do this a lot.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we forgot that when you and I have phone calls, they last 4 hours.
Yeah,
minimum.
I go to bed at like 5 a.m. and I'm like, how did this even happen?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, I hope you liked this episode, guys, and thank you so much for joining us, and we will be at this very moment in the comments with you when you're watching this. So I hope you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed our new podcast, Army Time.
Yeah, and please give us feedback.
Yes, please do. We want to know what you think of our new layouts, of our segments. If you have any ideas for things you'd want to see us do in the future, like, please comment to both of us. You can see both of our Twitters have been on the screen this whole time. Yeah, so please message us, let us know your thoughts, because this is a new project that we're putting together, and we had a bit of a discussion about this recently, about how we wanted something that was like by Army for Army, and it was just light-hearted. And I think we were saying that the only thing we really have is reactors.
Each other.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in terms of content. In terms of content, we have reactors, but reactors come in the order of content BTS or content to being an army. And if it's army to content, the only thing we tend to have is things like theory videos, which are less personal. It's not that human connection. And so we kind of wanted to bring both of those things together, of having connection and personalization, but also like that army to content binary, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And I mean, to just expand on that just really quickly. It's just the point of reactors is that they want to experience something live for the first time and give you their raw reaction, which means that even after they discover BTS and start reacting to them, they don't really look stuff up about them individually. They only go because they want people to interact and explain it to them themselves, so they'll read comments and all of that, but that's the extent of it. So their growth as kind of a fan, as an ARMY, ends up being a little bit stunted, and it doesn't give us the same pleasure as talking to someone who is up to their eyeballs in this and loves it.
Yeah, and has been for a long time.
Yeah, and loves talking about it, and also through hopefully an intellectual prism, and not just, oh my god, he's so cute. Although for the record, they are all very freaking cute.
So cute.
So cute that my teeth hurt looking at them. And it's
it hurts me.
Yeah. So
anyway, yeah. So we just wanted that, and I think that's what we're aiming to do with this podcast. And it's not like as much as we want to do it for you guys. I think the main reason we started doing this is because we want to do it. Like, we're missing it in our daily lives, and it's something that gives us joy, and we would have these types of conversations whether we published them or not. But isn't it just nice that we can do it all together?
We already do have them, and so every time we start to prepare for this podcast, we've literally had to cut ourselves off mid-sentence. No, you can't tell me this now. You have to do it when we're recording.
Exactly. Okay, right. Even though we've just gone on another tangent for like 20 minutes after talking about the fact that we talk too much, we are now coming to the end.
Please let us know. Is this too much? Should we work harder and to be more disciplined? Like, because if no one tells us that, we will keep going on tangents forever. So just let us know. If this is not something you want to see, let us know. And then maybe we'll finally be motivated and we can like slap each other when we do it.
Yeah, like this is just episode 1, so this is just our very first attempt. We've had a lot of technical issues, and we've had a lot of tangents, and we've had a lot of talking. So just give us feedback as much as is possible. Don't be mean, but give us constructive feedback, and that is more than welcomed. And honestly, we just want to know your thoughts. If you want us to kind of say, okay, well, you've said that, let's move on and do it a bit more choppy and kind of make the pacing faster, we can do that as well. Just, please let us know your thoughts, because we want this to be for you guys. That's the reason we're publishing it. We could have these conversations in private, but we're publishing it to be able to enjoy it with all of you. So please do let us know.
Okay, and on that note, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending ARMY time with us. And we will see you next week.
Bye. Oh, my mic.
야, 내가 죽이는 빛 하나 쏘았어. 맨날 찍지만 근데 괜찮대. 또 쩔어. 다 예상한 말이야. 알지. 또 지겨운 쌤인데 맨날 괜찮대. 지겨운 쌤 빛. 한번 들어가 한다는 너희가 해. 얼마나 잘 찍었는지. 야, 나 춘다. 작업은 잘해요. 괜찮은데. 야, 어떡하는데? 나쁘지 않아요? 괜찮지. 야, 오랜만에 사이퍼 어때, 사이퍼? 그럼 오랜만에 사이퍼 시원하게 한번. 떨려. 야, 그럼 나부터 할게. 슈가, 오케이, 가볼게. 슈가, 내 이름은 SUGA. 다른 래퍼들은 전부 내 뒤에. 오늘도 새끈한 이 비트 위에 이리 갔다 저리 갔다. 혓바닥을 놀려 너희 랩은 다 졸려. 이 CD 다시 돌려. 우리 음악들은 여성분을 울려. 우리 이름은 방탄. 지금 너네 입에서 나오는 건 감탄? 다음.
I'm a boy 먼지 I'm a boy 차가 근데 내 목소리는 서탄 너는 1탄 나는 4탄 나는 너를 치유하는 이 같아 네 랩은 돼지 나는 잘록 너는 리본 돼지 나는 발로 캄팔로 꼰대 롤렉스 the always 나한테 어울리는 단어네 근데 너한테 어울리는 건 좀생이 아니면 폼페이 그냥 폭발했지 상대를 좀 가려 아 근데 나 저 오줌 마려
오늘도 갇혀내 프리스타일 래핑 이 장단 맞춰 명품 랩쭉 세팅 탑 MC 답게 MCM의 구찌 알렉산더 맥퀸 뭐든지 랩 처음 할 때 지금은 달라 비트에 걸음만해 난 여름 만에 타파 모두 차파 전국 날봐 날봐 날봐
할게요 사이퍼 그래 형들 랩들 잘 들었어 남준이 형 가사 이제는 철들었어 형들 이제 랩 실력이 고만고만해 칭찬이야 이제는 그만해 내 앞에 호비 형 긴장하고 있어 뭐가 떨려 가서 김장하고 있어 대구 사투리 살아있네 윤기 형 살아있네
제이홉 나와줘 제이홉 제이홉 나온다 이건 우리 음악 중에 스킬 여기서 보여줄게 내 한 칼 스킬 내 이름 제이홉 멋있어서 흔적이 남지 like K-pop 야댐 광주가 난 힙합 이거 전라도 랩의 첫 시작 모두 털어줄게 거덜나게 우린 멋져 불어 허벌나게 내 이름은 진 럭시 잘생 김 근데 내 별명 찐따 최근 들었다가 빠졌지
그래서
이제 내 별명은 진 그래서 내 예명 진 보여줘요? 오픈팀 보여줘요? 내 이름은 지빈 여기 보컬 팀들 내 랩의 지림 태어난 이름대로 냄새나 좀 비림 내가 누군지 좀 알아봐 미리 미안해요
나 뒷살 때부터
안 할게요
가 그냥
랩은 안 돼.
이민
소리 알아 이민
가
야 사이프도 끝나는데 밥 어때 밥? 밥 먹을까?
알천
밥만 없어요
왜? 야 누가가 랍스타 쏜대 가자
내가 시원하게 쏘게 가자 나 나나포 하면 안 먹어 나 나나포
야 버려 거부터 나야 수고해 남과
간다 진짜 죄송하다
갈게요
가
잘 있어요